Sacred Symbols, a PlayStation podcast, is brought to you by, well, you. If you want to learn how to support our show, go to patreon.com/laststandmedia. Greetings and salutations. Welcome back to Sacred Symbols, a PlayStation podcast. This is episode number 391, I think, right? That's what it's labeled.
That's what I counted. That's what I counted.
We're recording it before 390. Yeah.
But.
Well, it's good to be here. My name is Colin Moriarty. Joined as always by my sons. Let's go around the horn and say hello to everyone for one of our holiday episodes, our annual holiday, very festive episodes. Chris Raygun, how are you today, my friend? Good to see you.
Hello, I'm good. I was thrown off today because I didn't look at the I didn't look at the message close enough. I assumed we would be recording at the normal time. We're recording a little bit later. So I woke up stupid early.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And now I'm like, no, it's fine. I mean, I've been getting up weirdly early anyway, but it was like 10 o'clock and I was like, all right. I sat there and I was like, I sat down waiting for the email and I was like, wait a minute. Something's off.
Yeah, I scheduled it later. Actually, it's kind of sad because I scheduled it later in part for you because it would allow you to, we don't need to go the usual 4 or 5 hours long. So you just
completely wasted.
Yeah, it's okay.
I'll remember tomorrow. But
good. It's good to see you. It looks it looks a little dark in your room. Is it because we're recording a little later, so the sun's in a different position?
Maybe it looks darker on camera than it is. It's like I think I have so when I stream, I have like a certain I have a setting on this webcam that kind of like does away with auto exposure. So it makes it a lot darker. So right now I got a lot of lights on, but it's still dark. Oh, it's a higher fidelity image though, and I like the way it looks a little bit more personal.
Yeah, I don't care personally. You can be in a fucking dark candlelit room for all I care.
Yeah,
you know. Remember back in the day, we used to record Sacred Symbols, then we would put it on YouTube, and I would just move the album cover diagonally across the screen really slowly. At first, I didn't do that because people are like, "You're gonna burn in." So then I was like, "Oh, all right." So then I started moving it. And then I would put it on the timeline on Adobe and then like do like the moving thing and then stretch it all the way across so it would just slowly.
Yeah, the keyframe.
Yeah, right.
It's good stuff.
It's good to be here with you today, Chris. Dustin Furman, executive producer. Good to see you today, my friend. How are you? How was your Christmas?
Christmas was great. I wore my Christmas sweater, but then realized I was looking at the calendar. This comes out the day after Christmas. So that's okay. I'm doing very well. I went and got Mexican with Holly last night.
Yeah.
And I got birria tacos. Do you know what this is? They're like tacos that have shredded beef and cheese on the inside. And they come with like a soup sauce that you dip them in. And I believe the tacos are lightly like fried too.
Oh, okay. That's nice.
They're very, very good. But other than that, I feel great right now. I'm super ahead on our holiday stuff. Usually the weekend of before our holiday, well, holiday has started for everyone else, but I'm kind of like grinding away. This year, dude, I spent all day doing thumbnails and they're almost all done except for this episode and next week's episode of Sacred. That's the only ones left because we're here recording it now. So other than that, I'm feeling good.
Yeah, the only lingering thing is I still haven't paid myself and my account needs to run, like we have ADP, but I just run it once a year. I don't even know why. We have it so that they collect all the data and whatever. And so we just send the money through ADP once a year. So my taxes are collected or whatever. And that's the only lingering thing. But he emailed me today saying he's working on the math or whatever. And then we'll figure it out. So that was the one thing I was worried about because we just have to record this in our timeline, this and then tomorrow and then Thursday. And then we're done. Until I have to come back on the 7th to write the next episode of Sacred Symbols. After that, you'll be back, I guess, the 5th or the 6th. Chris will be back the 8th. So, God, man, I'm looking forward to it. I really am. I feel like a child in that last week of Christmas before Christmas break.
Yeah.
Because I'm just so. Although, what were we? Especially on Long Island, it was probably the same in New York City. It's like, and a little bit upstate. It's like, what was I even upset about in the fall in New York? We got every Jewish holiday off. All the like fake Italian shit, like Columbus Day. Like we basically weren't in school for more than 3 days at a time ever until January. And even at that point, I was like, I got to get the fuck out of here, you know? So, God, those were and the kids in my neighborhood keep getting snow days.
Same here.
I used to love that. I knew my mom used to, I remember, well, you know, especially when I lived in New England, it was like, you're going to have to make it up later. I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah, you have no control over it.
You know,
Just enjoy it.
Right.
What you can't do anything.
because I think they used to build in days too. So there were years where we would actually get off earlier than we were supposed to. If you
Right.
well, then if you used all of them and went beyond that, then you were in school until like late June. And I'm like, I'll worry about that in late June, Mom.
Is there a feeling better in adult life than as a child, like watching the news on like a winter morning and like seeing your
best.
Your school come out and it's closed?
It's the
I
best.
really kind of don't think so.
No, it was and I remember I personally have memories of News 12 Long Island, which was like the channel 12, which is like Long Island's like little 24-hour news channel. And you just watch it. Yeah. And you'd watch the scroll, the marquee. I feel like that's probably a dead art now.
Yeah. I think Chris and I were probably the last generation to experience that, because I remember watching the news in elementary school. But then when we got older, it was like you would wait and you get a text message. And I remember once like getting up, turning on the shower, derobing, and then getting the text. And then I immediately turned the shower off and got back into bed. I was like, nope.
That's
I
nice.
almost was past the point of no return.
Yeah.
But I said,
Yeah, those are funny memories. Like my day, because I graduated high school in 2002. So, yeah, it was all the TV marquee thing. There might have been like some primitive internet thing, but we weren't, or a more primitive internet thing, but we weren't privy to it. And then I went to South Country School District, so you would get to like the S's. And Long Island's huge, millions of people there. So it's like you're waiting, and like it's like every fucking school district in the world. And then it would go from like, whatever S to like, Setauket, and then it would go like Syosset, and you'd be like, fuck. And then you'd like have to wait, maybe not. And then you'd like have to wait another 20 minutes for it to get all the way back to the S's.
Yeah.
And then it would maybe pop up, but then you get like a 2-hour delay or something. And you're like, oh, you fucking
that's the worst. It's so, it was grueling for me because like I remember going to school in Wappingers. So it would be all the way at the end.
Yeah, that sucks.
And I would just be like, I'd be waiting in anticipation, but it's a
You and
great
Maddie,
feeling.
right?
Yeah. Yeah, me and Maddie.
So, dude,
It
that's
is still
one
very
of the craziest things, dude.
Yeah, that's what.
But you knew each other, but you didn't. Is that what it was?
No, I mean,
Or you're different ages.
we were, because I don't know exactly how many years. How old is Maddie?
I
Because I'm
don't
32.
actually know. I'll look it up.
I think he was like maybe
I'll
like
ask Gemini. I don't know.
Ask Google Gemini how old your friend is. It's crazy. I think we were like maybe like 2 grades apart, so like we didn't intersect really all that often. It's just funny though in retrospect, knowing that like we passed each other probably like thousands of times. That's very weird.
It says he's likely in his mid to late 20s.
Likely.
I don't think so.
I think he's 30. I think he's actually 30.
I think he's just slightly younger than me, but not by much.
You guys are all so young. So interesting.
We're dinosaurs on the internet, man.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, wait. 27. So here's I found an Instagram post of his.
You're stalking him.
Yeah, I'm stalking him. I'm stalking my friend who I don't know how old he is. And it said 3 years ago that he was celebrating his 27th birthday, so he must be like 30. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's 30. So we were like, and I was like young. I was the youngest person in my class, so I was like, it was unusual for me to be in my grade. So we were like probably like a year, 2 years apart.
Cool. Yeah, I was also that as well. Like I started college at 17.
Yeah, me too.
Because of by quirk of my birth date or whatever.
Yeah, I did my entire first semester of college when I was 17.
Yeah, I
turned
18. I turned 18 during that semester, and felt like a little baby boy.
Little baby boy.
Who's this little baby boy in this American history class? Freaking like pot. Probably not at that point, actually. Not yet.
Oh man.
Who was this little boy, solemn and upset because another pretty girl broke his heart?
Did I ever tell you the time like my first experience with pot was I had 7 pot brownies at a party.
Shit.
It was like one of the first parties in LA that I went to, and I just assumed that they tasted weird because they were vegan.
Oh, yeah, I think you did. That must have gone pear-shaped bad.
It wasn't that bad actually. Like it was like I just remember being like, it was like 5 in, and I was like, I feel fine. It was probably like really low dose or whatever. And then I got home after the 7th, and I was like I was laughing at my ceiling fan because I couldn't stop laughing at how sharp the lights were, whatever that meant. I still remember that verbiage. I don't know what that means. I don't remember what I saw.
Interesting.
But that was a time.
I don't do the pop brownie too much. Not recently at all, but when I turned 21, my friend who I ended up dating later, who you both knew actually, but when we went to Northeastern together, she made me pop brownies, and my best friend from home, Mike Pope, came and visited me. I was dating this other girl that I was dating throughout college. So we went over to her house. We had a little party, and I just got so fucked up on these weed brownies. And then, so this was October 14th, 2005, I guess. And then we took a cab home, and I threw up in the back of the cab.
Oh.
But I threw up. The guy was actually really nice. He got me, I didn't get it anywhere. What happened is I had a brown Element skateboard sweatshirt on. I took it off and threw up in it.
Yeah.
And then when we got back to my girlfriend at the time's apartment, she had a little fire escape outside of her apartment, and I threw the sweatshirt out there and then never got it again. And it became a joke about how it stayed out there for a year, and then we moved or whatever.
You got to throw them. You got to throw those clothes away. You throw up in clothes. It's just kind of like, these are gone.
Yeah.
These are gone.
Yeah. Bad scene. Good. It's fun. I do remember my 21st birthday though because of that. So absolutely fuck it. There's actually a picture. I think the first picture of me ever on Facebook actually is a picture of me passed out in her bathroom I had a mohawk at the time. And I'm against the door or whatever, in her bathroom. I should pull that up. I can show it to you guys.
That's the beginning of your digital footprint.
Yeah. Basically that's probably the first picture ever really reliably printed of me. Back when I was in high school, I took a digital art class. This was probably in 99, 2000. And we had those at one time, Sony made these beautiful cameras, but you put floppy disks in them. I don't know if you guys ever used them.
Wow.
And those were, I took pictures of myself for my friends on GameFAQs and stuff. And those might be floating around. I know there's one picture of me in front of my locker and there's a big 311 logo inside my, you put your things in your locker or whatever. And I had all this shit in my locker or whatever. Thought I was cool. It was kind of cool. I was a little cool. I wasn't not cool.
I feel like we missed that. I didn't decorate my locker at all. My locker was completely utilitarian. I was I'm shoving a bunch of shit in here and leaving. I don't want to spend any time here, really.
Interesting.
I never used my locker in high school because I just left everything in the TV room because I was friends with the teacher. So I always it was a struggle because at the end of the year they were like, "Oh, you need to go clean out your locker," and so I probably had one thing in there. I never knew how to open it.
Yeah, remember. Well, I guess you wouldn't. It's you get your locker assignment, and then you just kind of remember the code, and and then I have no idea what locker was mine anymore, and obviously I don't remember the code, but I don't even remember what the specific locker because I went to a pretty big school.
Yeah,
it's it was I don't know, man, but it's just so funny how you remember those things, and then your brain's bye, you don't need anymore. Yeah, interesting. And on that note, it was a wonderful episode of Sacred Symbols. I'm glad to be here with you guys today. We'll see you next time.
Goodbye.
Bye. See you.
All right. So we gather here as we have every year since 2018 for our 2 holiday episodes. This is the first of 2 holiday episodes. So we keep things going, but we pre-record them. So you have something to listen to. All you destitute sons of bitches out there looking for content. Here we do biggest moments of the previous year. So it'll be the biggest moments of 2025 from our perspective involving PlayStation. It doesn't have to just be PlayStation. It just has to be something that might have something to do with PlayStation. So a game or a publisher or something wider in the industry. I don't want to be too crazy about the rules. We each select 5. We'll go around the horn and we'll have 15 cumulative ones and we'll discuss them as much or as little as we feel necessary. And I have 20 written down just to be safe. I mean, we don't obviously, that's way too many. And I'll go through the ones that I don't end up using. I did order them and for myself. And I'm sure you guys will have a bunch of these on yours as well. So I'll go last. Dustin, let's start with you. Then we'll go to Chris. Then we'll go to me and back to you. We'll do that 5 times. That's the Roman numeral V for those out there that are time traveling, time skipping. And we'll begin with you, Dustin. What's a big moment that you want to recollect from the calendar year 2025?
Sure. Let's go with PlayStation releases a game on Xbox. And I wrote for real. Because as many listeners may remember, PlayStation Studios has appeared on Xbox via MLB The Show, but it seemingly, at least on the outside, felt like a forced thing that they had to do this. That game was on Game Pass, so double blow. But what I'm referring to is Helldivers 2 appearing over on Xbox. And this was a pretty big deal. Of course, Helldivers, probably PlayStation, not probably, their biggest multiplayer success. Definitely probably drove people to the console. And also, I mean, over on PC, where it was primarily sold, not primarily, but highest number of sales over on PC. And so to see them cross over and release a game on Xbox brought up a lot of questions. What does this mean for PlayStation Live service going forward? Could we expect anything else, whether it's maybe an older title or maybe a day and date release for something like Fair Games? We still don't know the answer to a lot of those questions. We haven't seen anything else from PlayStation over on Xbox, but still a big deal nonetheless that they crossed over.
Yeah, that was number 2 on my list. I think that's a big one. Chris, what do you think? You have anything to say about this Helldivers sitch?
No, yeah. I mean, I thought it was unusual. I don't think any of us would have seen that coming, and I don't think there was any good reason to assume that would happen. So it's quite the anomaly. I still kind of don't really understand. Like I've always been like the kind of it's like, all right, look, if you're making a multiplayer game, you might as well put it everywhere, get as many people on board. But they really didn't have to do that, and I'm kind of, I don't know. It's just interesting. I don't know if that's really ever going to happen again, especially with, Xbox now in 4th place behind that weird Ouya success
Next Machina, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, very strange event, but very cool. I think I like it for the culture.
The culture, yeah. It happened. It seemed almost, and I don't think it was this necessarily. I certainly would bet against this, but it seemed like quid pro quo based on like Gears coming at the same day to PlayStation. But by that point, the barrier had already been breached. And I'll just incorporate this to not be too corny. I'll use one of mine here as well. Just this doesn't count, but it kind of incorporates is like just Forza and coming and Gears coming and Halo being revealed, right? Like it's the, oh, is that your?
Well, yeah, that would have been my first one, but yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. They all kind of seem the same,
Yeah,
sure.
It just seemed like some sort of interesting quid pro quo style thing. But the Helldivers thing, I agree with you, Chris. Like, I think people look at it as a zero sum game, and I'm like, it's really not. Like, they're like, well, they want money, and I'm like, yeah, but that's not that's just, I don't know what people don't understand. It's like just not the only consideration is the immediate amount of money you make. And I feel like they broke a barrier that they really didn't have to break and shouldn't have broken. And I wonder, to your point, Dustin, if they will break it again, because some of these games that have been revealed, you would think would have been announced for Xbox. And so at the very least, it seems clear that we have a little bit better of their strategy, like For Loop, for instance. It's like there's a little bit of an encapsulation of a strategy where it's like these games are coming to PlayStation and PC first. Maybe they will migrate them depending on, and it might just be a thing. It's like an Xbox release isn't going to save any of these games. So maybe we wait to see how big the game is. And if it makes sense to bring it there to catapult it a little further, keep it going a little further, a little bit more. But,
or they won't have to.
What'd you say?
Or they won't have to.
Right, because of the PC stuff.
Yeah.
Which again makes no sense, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, just the whole interplay between these two companies, I think, has been very, very interesting. And by the way, Chris, I'll go to you next. You can use that because we didn't really go.
No, I am.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I am absolutely going to use it because it is. I mean, we all saw it coming with Halo coming to PlayStation in some way, shape, or form. The dam has been broken a long time ago. Obviously, we've had a lot of this cross-pollination going on for a while now, especially from Xbox over to PlayStation. So whether Halo was going to show up on PlayStation wasn't necessarily the question. It was how. And the how was also sort of expected, but also kind of not. I didn't anticipate it being quite this. Halo Campaign Evolved debut on PlayStation with a remake of the original, the OG Combat Evolved, redone with an Unreal Engine, some Infinite assets there, genuinely going in and retooling a bunch of stuff, adding new weapons, adding new like stuff from the games that succeeded it, new mechanics, 3 entirely new missions. That's interesting. I'm curious. I'm very curious about that game. Like, I don't know how I feel about it really holistically. I don't know if I'm really excited about it. I don't really know how I feel about it as sort of a lapsed carer. But it is interesting. And for this to be the way that they're going about it and not doing the collection and not doing Infinite seems to telegraph something. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what that something is at this moment in time, but definitely fascinating. And it's just, and even just building off of that, just seeing a Halo trailer on the PlayStation YouTube channel and seeing it in the headers for like their like, you know, oh, next year in PlayStation, and it's like Master Chief there. It's just like, it's very surreal. Would have been more surreal if, you know, not all that stuff had happened previously with Gears and all this other stuff, but it's still, there's something to that image of like the PlayStation logo next to, especially Combat Evolved Master Chief. That in particular is weird for me, but big moment.
Absolutely. It was incredible. I feel like the Halo thing especially was very surreal because after that reveal, I went on PSN that night and there it was.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is almost like a joke. Like, it's almost like if you're not involved, if you're, I mean, imagine if you're just even like a more casual PlayStation consumer, you're kind of old school. You understand the divisions between you don't expect to see a Mario game or a Halo game. You understand kind of the way things are built, the structure of the industry. And then you just go into PSN one day, your kids are asleep. You're like, you know, hanging out and you're like, yeah, let's go see what's going on PSN. I haven't played Fortnite in a while. And you go into the PSN and there's Halo for pre-order. It's like, something slipped by the goalie here, which wouldn't be, it would be a huge surprise because it would be advertised, but I wouldn't be surprised to find a Halo object on there just because there's all sorts of rip-off weird shit. But very weird year. Because I remember when we made our bet for the Metacritic stuff that we do every year, I bet my last bet was Forza as like a throwaway, being like, I think Forza is going to come this year. And then it did. So that all happened. Well, that was all announced and most of it happened in this calendar year, which is very wild. Dustin, Reflections is an old Xbox 360 dork.
Yeah. Well, I wrote, because this is one of the ones I wrote down, but I called it Xbox nearly completes its Sega moment, because this process has been happening for before 2025, but I feel like this is the year where it's like, okay, the floodgates are truly open now. And it's been very interesting seeing how it's all unfolded. You guys were talking about the Halo announcement. And I was thinking about how, was it their community manager had the PlayStation shirt?
Oh, right. That was
on stage.
They've been a little extra, if anything.
That was Brian Gerard, I think. Yeah, the community.
Yeah, and it's like maybe not. Maybe not a good idea. I mean, you know, whatever. They don't care because they're just trying to make as much money as possible, and God bless them for it. But in terms of letting their fans down softly, maybe not using the PlayStation shirt was the move. But
yeah, I don't understand that. It's the same thing with the Indiana Jones thing last year, where it's like, why are you closing with this? It's just so, or like when they won the South of Midnight Award, and then they're like, by the way, our game's coming to PlayStation. It's like, well, what are you doing? You don't have to be this overt, in my opinion, but whatever. Yeah. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a weird moment. And yeah, like I said, a lot of other stuff. We got Flight Sim. We got something like Age of Mythology, Age of Empires. South of Midnight comes out next year. Indiana Jones came this year.
Gears.
Gears was a big one. Strange, very surreal. That was a little surreal. I think playing that on PlayStation, Halo is going to be very surreal playing on PlayStation. Just seeing the button prompts and stuff, it's going to be very interesting. So yeah, it's over. I mean, whatever Xbox becomes or that brand becomes, it's certainly not a competitor to PlayStation anymore. Now it really relies on PlayStation, and at least partially. And I find that, it's certainly one of the big things. Just the interplay between these two consoles. I mean, that occupies the two top spots, and I think that that's reasonable enough, because it's definitely this will definitely be a sea change sort of year when you look back at it, about the way things were structured between these two one-time rivals. And so we'll see what happens as this develops. And by the way, these games I don't know how Gears did. Gears didn't really seem to do incredibly well, but Forza killed. I mean, Forza did so well on PlayStation that it's charting for the year. like an annual releases, the top 20. I mean, that can't be understated. Like that doesn't happen except unless you're like a really big game or if something very notable happens to that game. And that's the very notable thing. And so we'll see. All right. My first one is this year we got the first concrete ramp up of PlayStation 6 rumors. I mean, things that are not hypothetical, but that are coming from reliable folks, whether it's our friend Tom from Moore's Law is Dead and Broken Silicon, or whether it's from other reliable sources out there as well that report regularly on hardware. Seems like we're getting PlayStation 6 fall 27, I think is the aim. And it'll be both a console and a handheld. And that's really exciting shit. And if you watch a lot of Tom's reporting recently, it's clear that Sony is heavily integrating this stuff already into the workflow of games, with low power mode and all of those things being pushed. As again, I always use the hotel example. You walk into the hotel, it has a little placard. It says like, if you want your towels washed, leave them on the floor. And they're doing that because they're like, we're green. And it's like, no, you don't want to spend money washing the towel. It's the same thing here. They're saying like, we have an eco mode. We care about the environment. And it's like, no, you're preparing the PlayStation 6 and specifically these games to run seamlessly on this handheld, which I think is codenamed Canis. So very exciting stuff here as well as PlayStation. We don't know very much more about it. The other rumor, of course, Dustin, is that it might be cheap. And Tom keeps making the argument that it would be cheaper even than the PS5 Pro. I do wonder how these new chip limitations and all of the rest combined with a very stubborn level of inflation might affect that prediction. But that's what we know so far. What do you think?
Yeah, it's really exciting, the thought of what a new PlayStation handheld. Of course, we have our beloved Vita. Not quite rest in peace quite yet, but pretty damn close. And so with the Nintendo Switch and of course the Steam Deck as well, but mostly Nintendo Switch, seeing the handheld market get completely revitalized has kind of opened the way for this device. And of course, Colin, you've always said it's like, man, if only they hadn't given up. They had just figured it out a little earlier because they were doing, dude, the Vita hardware is just so cool. So I'm very curious on what that's going to look like. I'm very curious on how it's going to be priced as well. And I think what's the most interesting thing about both the handheld and the console for me is just what level of machine learning, AI upscaling, because that seems like that's going to be a major focus of the technology moving forward. We're still waiting on what we assume is going to be early 2026 is the PSSR 2.0 update and what that's going to do for PlayStation 5 Pro and how they're kind of building this technology to lay the groundwork for PlayStation 6. It's very interesting. I'm curious what they're going to be able to pull off with it.
Chris, any reflections on PlayStation 6 before we move on?
I mean, I don't know. I think you said everything that I would say. I would just the split kind of model of like this handheld focus has me excited. Like I think it's a really, really interesting route to go. So hopefully that shakes up well. It still feels really weird to be talking about it. I understand. Like there's real rumors obviously now, and like it obviously exists, but it's still a little. I don't know. PS5 even sounds fake to me. You know, I remember when PS5 was like a joke. Like I remember that distinctly. It's like, oh, now we're at PS6 already. It's crazy. But yeah, I mean, it was a big year for that. Floodgates really, really exploded on that stuff.
I think the timeline we discussed this as over the year as these rumors have kind of surfaced is the timeline makes sense from an historical point of view, 7 years, but sure. I just feel like in the moment that we're in, it doesn't make any sense. And I understand you have to kind of commit to these timelines early. These are economies of vast scale. Sony doesn't make these components per se. They obviously source them from partners by the millions of units and then put it all together in these factories. And you have to source all this stuff. It's an incredible. I always think about that. It's like about just making anything really, but especially these kinds of sophisticated electronics. It's like it's a real organizational feat to be able to like. I don't know if you guys remember. I mean, it's just random, but like when one of the Sony executives was holding the first PS5 to come off the the line. He was in the factory in China. I'm like, this is a pretty incredible thing, like probably for them, because this has been like something on paper and they've made them by hand, no doubt, and fabricated them and all the rest. But to have this line start pumping these things out, it's complicated. And so I get that you have to commit years ahead of time. And I also get that, and you could like sit on them, but then you have to store them and all the rest. So you kind of are committed to just selling at that point. And so much money. I mean, between R&D and actually getting these things off the ground, right? It's like billions of dollars of money wrapped up in all of this. And so I wonder if they'll be able to adjust, because I do feel like we just don't need this thing. The part of me is very excited about a handheld, and that's the thing I'm going to be all over. I'm going to get both of them, but I'll be all over the handheld. No doubt. Yeah. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know, man. Like maybe a PS5 handheld would have been cool, and then kind of keep this going for a while. And I don't know if they feel like they need to be more competitive and assertive because Xbox is going again in a very Dreamcast-like fashion. But I'll just remind everyone that when and there's this new Xbox, I'll just tell you right now, it's not going to do as well as the Dreamcast. But Dreamcast, I think, sold 12 million. I'd be surprised if an expensive PC stacked Xbox sold 12 million units. But we'll see what happens. But you'll remember, you guys were young, but you know, looking back, I remember certainly like Dreamcast came out fall 99. People were just like, I'll just wait. Like they didn't like being first didn't really matter. But then, and PS2 came out obviously fall 2000. But then of course 360 had a major advantage by going first. And so, and PS3, obviously I reported this at IGN. I mean, I was the one to report that PS3 was supposed to come out in 2005. So they were moving even faster, and they had like a bunch of problems with their tech. And you could see that in the PS3 itself, that nothing was really operating well. Of course, famously, the store on a browser and all that was like the best. Loved it. Turning that thing, I was like, oh my God, this thing is fucking
I think
ready.
I think it just feels that way though, because like we started this generation in like a weird kind of time warp. That pandemic was very odd, and then also that in conjunction with the fact that dev cycles are going longer, so it feels like we're getting fewer hits from those studios in any given generation. So it makes things feel a little bit like this is kind of off. Like we haven't gotten a trilogy from like a single developer yet. Like why would we? You know, like it feels off. I think for those reasons. But
yeah,
the timing
I think you're
is right.
And we'll be like, we're 22 months, maybe 23 months away from even having this thing. So who knows what it will look like and feel like at that time. And that's one of the things that I allow for is this idea that maybe things will just look a lot different. But this generation just feels stagnant. And it just I really like the games. I think we have, honestly, I think from a game perspective, we're in a golden era where there's like, it's incredible. Yeah. But from a tech era, I'm like, I'm kind of satiated. People, even in my Q&A that will go live at some point over the holidays, someone asked me, like, what would you want out of the PS6? And I'm like, I don't know. Like everything's fit. I remember with the PS4, it's like, we want like better online and like a more stable OS. And then they did that with the PS4. And then the PS5 really took that to the next degree with the SSD and everything and the more power. And I was saying with Ghost of Yotei, like the load times are comical, how quick it is. It's crazy. Actually, I'm playing Dying Light the Beast right now and the load times are slower. And I'm like, you guys got to optimize your shit. I mean, this is crazy. But when I look at the PS6, I'm like, I'm not wanting for anything. Maybe we need a Steve Jobs like, this is what you want kind of situation. Maybe it's not for maybe the consumer to know, but I don't know. I don't know if Sony has anyone like that. Maybe Cerny to a degree is like that. All right, Dustin, let's go back to you for round 2. This is number 4.
Yeah, well, I have some more obscure ones, but let's go with another PlayStation related one. And this one, I think you guys are going to understand what I'm saying. I feel like it's a bit more vague. I wrote Switch 2 multiplats put pressure on Sony. And I don't know if what the end results of this are, but as everyone knows, the Switch 2 came out this year and it's a surprisingly powerful little handheld that is doing very, very well here and across the world. And what's been interesting to see is that I feel like we're starting, maybe it's not toppled or anything like that, but we're starting to see a little bit of shakiness in Sony's multi-plat. I don't know about dominance, but we have games like Resident Evil 7 coming to the Switch 2. We have the Final Fantasy 7 remake and Rebirth coming to Switch 2. And so we have these Japanese companies like Capcom and Square Enix cozying up with the Switch. So much so to the point, maybe this is a reaction to this, and probably just because the overall price is too high, where Sony's reacting by making a specialized PlayStation for the Japanese market to lower the price, just because if they don't do something, they're going to lose dominant. I mean, not they're going to further lose dominance in Japan more than they already have to the Switch 2. And so, while it might not affect us too much here, it has been interesting to see now the Switch, which historically has been too underpowered to really handle a lot of these third-party games, to now kind of getting these, and PlayStation losing some of that luster over to the Switch 2.
Yeah, I'm looking up the sales numbers now, and it did jump. PS5 was selling like 5,000 to 6,000 units a week before in Japan, for instance, before the price drop and this new kind of localized unit. And now it sold 23,000 the first day, but now it's fallen back. So like, I'm not even sure it worked. I mean, at least it makes it the erosion less likely and it more palatable when something like Oseyote comes out or something and people want to play it. Grand Theft Auto is going to be a big one for the console in Japan. And so at least they're there and they're steady. Anything you want to add, Chris, before we ask you for your next one?
Well, he mentioned the older Resident Evil games, but like, dude, even Requiem's coming to Switch 2, which is crazy. Like, that was something that I was kind of shocked by. I was like, oh.
And Pragmata, too.
Yeah, and Pragmata. So, like, yeah, they're more competitive. So, like, yeah, that's a good pick. I had that on my list, too.
I wonder, it reminds me a little bit of the Wii era, where we would always get these, like we would get like a special version of Call of Duty for a while, or it would get sometimes the PS2 version of games. Like,
right.
A lot of weird shit came to Wii because it was on PS2. Remember when Manhunt was one of those, Manhunt 2? Mm-hmm. Because they were kind of comparable. And we've seen, I think, publishers see through especially big publishers through their legacy content, like that there's a huge group of people still on PS4. Someone wrote in recently saying like, are you upset, Colin, that Mega Man 12 is coming to PS4? Which it is. So it'll come to PS4 13 years. No, 14 years after the console launched. And I'm like, that's just so, I don't know. Like, but then you see EA be like, we're going to release Star Wars Jedi Survivor on PS4. WB say like, we're releasing Hogwarts Legacy on PS4. Like, they're making these gimped versions of them to go backwards. And then I wonder if it makes it easier to jump to this lesser hardware. But at the same time, I also wonder if this is kind of a finite thing. Like, certainly when the new consoles come out, this is over, I would assume, as far as like interplay between them. But then again, there might not be no next gen exclusives, which is another one of my theories where I'm like, there might not be any PS6 only games at this point. Yeah. It might be a more modular sort of thing. You were going to say something, Chris?
No, I was going to just agree. Like, I feel like that's kind of where we're headed.
It is wild to think about. I mean, assuming Mega Man 12 does come out in 2027, which I assume it will, and it comes to PS4, which it is, and PS6 comes out in 2027, then you really are getting these three concurrent generations. I don't know what this looks like. It's kind of awesome, actually, but I don't know how I'm not that bummed about it. And I'm certainly not bummed about the idea of there being no PS6 exclusive games, just because I think it's going to be so risky. I think games that were maybe supposed to sort of kind of be exclusive to the console ended up not being for PS5 because they realized we can't move on. And you can tell that by the way that some of these games were announced and then shown later to come to these other things. So very interesting selection, Dustin. Chris, let's go to you for your second choice. This is number 5 overall.
All right, let's see. I don't have any of these in any particular order, but I'm going to pull this one. this Light of Motiram.
Oh yeah.
Situation.
Sure.
Is I don't know. This developer, I believe Polaris Quest is a Tencent studio, just put this game out, shamelessly ripping Horizon off. They got called on it. They changed all their art. And I assume things are going on behind the scenes, but like, yeah, this thing kind of showing up out of nowhere with obvious undertones of like, yeah, we ripped this thing off. And then to find out like that they had pitched Sony directly and like all of this stuff, this entire story, really, the Light of Motiram saga
It's
as
very
it continues, by the way, because I think it's still going.
Yeah.
In some capacity.
It,
but like
this
whole thing has been quite amusing to me. And yeah, man, I'm curious how, like, what's going to happen with this. Like, I assume there's probably I would assume there's probably like some kind of, there'll be some settlement or something. Like, maybe I really don't know what, like, how you go about seeking damages for this, or like what. Like, I don't know what the recourse is, but I'm going to be keeping an eye on it for the next year, or for however long it takes.
Yeah,
for this to wrap up.
I think well, when I did the episode with Hogue about it, we went deep into the lawsuit and whatever, and he was saying that he could envision, to your point, a solution where Sony just literally licenses Horizon to them. And I wonder if that would have been an option if there weren't already a licensed Horizon game in development and a couple other things. Like, in other words, maybe that would have been a more tempting thing, especially for the Chinese market, should we have not already flooded the zone with Horizon games internally. I do wonder what's going to happen, because as I understand, the latest filings basically is Tencent saying, like, we're not backing down, like, we didn't do anything. And I'm just like, this is so preposterous at this point. Like, this is so, you could make a case. It's very similar to what I always say about Hunger Games, where I'm like, people always say, like, she copied Battle Royale, and it's like, maybe she did, maybe she didn't, but you could imagine a reality where she just didn't know. And I actually think that's a fantastic, fantastic. I think that's a likely reality, because it's a somewhat obscure Japanese story. I mean, why would this, like, middle-aged white American woman with no connection to Japan even necessarily know about Battle Royale? And she comes up with this Hunger Games idea that's very similar to it. But for me, I'm like, well, you can't really use that excuse that you weren't aware of Horizon, or you weren't, because you pitched them.
Right.
We know what's, so like that to me is the death knell of any sort of defense. Otherwise, I think you probably, if that wasn't true, if, like, they didn't pitch Horizon or that didn't come out, then I think they might have gotten away with it. But I just don't think that, I don't know how you could get away with it at this point, unless you change all the assets, or many of the assets, which I think they're already doing.
Yeah, I think that's kind of my thing. It's like, even just with the key art changing from that Aloy looking character to now it's like a robot penguin and like a pig or something. It's like they're clearly trying to change it after the fact. And I wonder how much they're adding to the game to maybe argue, where it's just like, look, this isn't in Horizon. You know, I'm fascinated by this whole thing.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. It is an interesting. It's very well. It's also just unusual for what you're allowed to get away with in the industry. And, like, it's all about, like, what the publishers and the asset holders or the IP holders really care about. We know Nintendo's, like, very aggressive, for instance, with Pal World, but you can imagine another company being like, and, like, you could tell that Nintendo knew that they couldn't get, Pocket Pair on the Pokemon ripoff shit, which is, I just want to be honest, clear as day in my opinion. But nonetheless, like, I know that there's all sorts of gray area and whatever. And so they just started trying to go after them for anything they could, which I think is interesting. And you could tell that they're, like, really upset about it. On the other hand, you have games that are like facsimiles of other games and no one really cares. Look at, Konami with Vampire Survivors as an example, where they really could have gotten a lot more upset about that. Instead, they embraced them. And so you have these two different, it's like, which way, Western man? All right. I love those memes.
I feel like it's gonna be every time people do that kind of thing. It's like, and I do it too all the time. But, like, I imagine us in like an assisted living facility when we're like 80, just like quoting obscure memes to each other, or just like just in bed saying fucking 6'7" while your heart palpitates.
I know. You've said it before, Chris, and it's a great reflection. Is the living facilities are going to be fucking crazy.
Yeah. Irony poison geriatrics, or it's an interesting breed of geriatric. I don't know if there's ever been that many of them.
We're gonna find out soon. Yeah, it's gonna start maybe younger Gen X, but millennials. It's like that's when it's gonna really
it's over
hit the fan. All right, I have a few good ones, but I'm gonna go with this one because I think it is incredibly relevant. Grand Theft Auto 6, as I understand, delayed twice.
Yeah,
this year. So I think it was originally supposed to come out May, right? And then September. Was that what it was?
I think it was either September or November, and then they moved it again.
Yeah.
But it was delayed twice. You all right?
Right, because it was supposed to come out and I want to be clear, May 26th, and then they moved it to September. No, I don't think it was November 26th.
Yeah,
and I just think that that's irrelevant. I wonder what that's all about. Grand Theft Auto 6 is obviously going to be not only the biggest video game release of all time. It might not get to the cumulative numbers that others have gotten. That's going to take time to figure out. But in terms of launch, that's going to be a mega release. And Sony is going to benefit so much from so I want to throw this out there as a prediction, and we're not really making predictions right now, but the consoles PS4 and PS5 are so timeline aligned. I think only 2 million off right now PS5 is from PS4, that like there's a really good, I mean, I think it's almost like, unless something catastrophic happens, like PS5 is going to outsell PS4, or at least it's going to bump way above PS4. Because PS4 didn't benefit from a Grand Theft Auto release. And that in and of itself is going back to the PS2, a massive deal. And in the PS3 era, 360 was the console that really benefited from Grand Theft Auto. I mean, obviously people played it on PS3 by the millions and bought it there or whatever, but it was the DLC and everything. Like 360 really, and I think there was even a bundle, if I recall.
Yeah, there was.
And they had the commercial rights. We don't really know how that's all panning out yet. Although the only two possibilities are either Rockstar is going to go an agnostic route or PlayStation has their rights, because there's no way they're going to go with Microsoft. So, and if I were them, I would just, as I've said a million times, I wouldn't do anything with anyone. But at the same time, you're deferring like hundreds of millions of dollars in advertising costs and getting your game in front of people. So you really have nothing to lose either way. But it seemed like the game was somewhat imminent, and it probably, I mean, it's not a probable. I'm sure the game is, it would be so exciting to be there. Like, I'm sure the game is done. Like, and can be played front to back. And it's probably been true for quite a while. I want to know why they felt like they needed to delay it. Was it a timing thing? Did you feel better going at a different time? What's wrong with it? Or is the pressure and the heat on so deeply that you're like, this needs to be polished to the finest sheen before it comes out? Because I think the pressure, I mean, how many times have I said this now ad nauseum? Your expectations for this game should be astronomical. And I'm not saying that because I think it's going to be great. I don't know. I assume it's going to be great, but because of all the time and money spent, I mean, it's like, well, you have absolutely no excuse to deliver anything other than the finest thing. They've spent more money on this game than many established studios will ever spend in their entire existence. Like, they've literally probably, and I'm not even kidding, like they've probably spent more money on this game than a studio like BioWare has spent on everything they've made. Like, that's pretty extraordinary when you think about it. We're talking about maybe $2 billion when you incorporate marketing. That's a preposterous amount of money. And you only spend that much money if you know that you're going to make it all back easily. And they are. But the heat is on with this one. And and I believe that if they delay it again, it is going to get to a shit or get off the pot situation where it's like, what is going on with it? Like, then I think you have to start asking questions about like, what's going on here?
Right.
Because why do you need more time again? You've been making this game for 10 years. And I also don't want to underestimate, like, I don't want to throw around numbers willy-nilly, but like, how much does a delay cost every quarter or every month? It's probably costing them like 50, 60, 70 million dollars a month or something. So like, just keeping all those people employed.
Right.
You divide the number that it took to make the game by all of this time. You know, it's like, it's not a small amount of money. So they got to go. Dustin, where are you on Grand Theft Auto 6?
Yeah. Well, with these delays, to me, it just feels like first time, huh? Like, oh, this is your first time going through this, you know? Because I remember talking about Grand Theft Auto getting delayed at the 12th grade lunch table and it not coming out to the following year. And also, I remember Red Dead Redemption 2 getting delayed. It's just kind of like what I expect out of Rockstar at this point. The other thing, just as a note, because Colin, you were saying it's probably done. Last night, when I was browsing YouTube, I ended up watching a video. I don't remember who the YouTuber is, but it was like 20 minutes of random info about Red Dead Redemption 2. And I was learning, like, everyone's always like, oh, the horse's balls shrink when it's cold. Look at this detail. You hear those details, but there's other stuff that I totally had no idea about. Like, depending on what food Arthur Morgan eats, if you make him throw up, it will change the color of his vomit. Like, oh, like stuff like that. Or like, there's a mission where you have to deliver a letter and a gift. And you can go and sell that gift, and it will change the cutscene where Arthur will lie to the woman about the gift, because she's like, oh, he usually sends a gift, and he's like, oh, nope, not this time. But he sold it. So it's like they're spending this year, because these games are maybe literally the most detailed games ever created. So I'm not worried about it. And I think just even from the trailer, like, you can see the amount, like, there were people pointing out, like, the physics of the beer in the bottles and stuff like that. And it's like,
it's crazy. Based
on the track record, like, this is the tip of the iceberg for GTA 6. So I'm willing to wait. It's disappointing, of course, but I'm not surprised that it got delayed twice in the same year.
What do you think, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little surprised, but not super. Like, ultimately, where I'm at is like, oh man, I'm bummed out. I would have loved this to have been a lot more imminent than it is, but I'll give them all the time they need, basically, because I don't think. And it's not to say that I've loved every single Rockstar game, but certainly for the last several in a row, I feel like they've done a pretty good job of just meeting the bar or exceeding it, especially with just Red Dead 2. Like, Red Dead 2 to me is the real signifier of what Rockstar can do when they just have like a hit like GTA 5 making all this insane money and like giving them so much ground and basically like unleashing them to make something so like pivotal and amazing. I have no doubt GTA 6 is going to be just an impressive technical feat. And I'm excited to see it. So like, take all the time you need. There is a point where it's just like, all right, let's hurry this up. If it was going to take this long to come out, you shouldn't have said anything when you did, I guess, is kind of my frustration. It's less that it's being delayed so much and more that like, you could have just waited to tell us that this was even happening and you wouldn't have lost much of anything because everybody's excited. Everybody knows you're making this. I also wonder too, like how much of it has to do with the leaks. I know certain, because a shit ton of GTA 6 leaked early.
Right. Like
and was
early,
like playable.
During like, it was a lot of COVID stuff, right? When people were working from home. They were like, back and forth. Like, I wonder, it reminds me a little bit of like this is a weird parallel, but Eminem had like back in like the early 2000s, like one of his album leaks, and he was like, fuck it, I'm going to make a new one because everybody's heard this already. And like, I wonder how prevalent that attitude is in games. Like, I wonder how much that kind of plays a part in like even, other games that have been leaked and how it plays to them. It's like, oh, we got to change this, and this because this, and this leaked. I don't think that's how they would operate. I think they understand that like a fraction of people have even seen that. I don't know what the fuck is happening in GTA 6. I haven't looked, but I wonder if that's part of it. But I think a lot of it is probably optimization. I would imagine that this game's probably going to be a nightmare to optimize, and probably is on PS5. I can't imagine that it's going to run higher than 30 frames a second. I think it's a fair prediction that that's going to be a locked 30, just like Red Dead 2 was on PS4 when it launched. So I just imagine they're just trying to polish the shit out of it to justify the time and make sure when it lands that it really hits. Certainly. Although I don't think there's much danger of it not hitting. I would be genuinely fucking bewildered. Sales are not going to be affected by the reviews unless the reviews are like really bad. True. Like they would have to be like mind's eye level. And even then, I feel like people would just be so curious to see, like what? I'm also incredibly curious to see what the review plan is for it. We're obviously not going to review the game, but it is interesting to think that they maybe won't do a review cycle. But I just think I don't know what they benefit from it. I mean, that's my honest answer. I don't know what you benefit, unless you are so positive, like you're mock reviewing this game and it's like, this is a 10. this is flawless, then maybe you put it out there. But otherwise, I'm not even sure you gain anything from even having reviews. In fact, I think a lot of people like when it's a much smaller game, but it still sold 7 million copies. It was Team Cherry's Hollow Knight Silksong. They did the same thing. They're like, they didn't give it access to anyone.
Yeah.
And it didn't matter. So I think you can learn a lot from that. We'll be keeping a close eye on GTA 6. It comes out in November. All right. This brings us back to you, Dustin. For you, this is your third pick overall, number 7. Or third pick for you, 7 overall.
Yeah. Of all the ones to choose from, this is the one I'm feeling. I'm feeling it. Last of Us Season 2 kind of sucked. Let's be real. It's funny because when we were watching this, you can go back and watch our spoiler cast. We were kind of up and down on different episodes and the way that they decided to adapt the story. And I think with time, thinking about it and looking back on it, it has gotten significantly worse in my mind. The changes were weird. And some of the decisions made with some of the different characters, particularly Ellie, were not very good. And it's just a big disappointment, particularly because the first season was so incredibly good. To see this kind of go, like to go from a shining example of an amazing video game adaptation, which we don't get many of those anymore. We don't get many of those. We're kind of in a new era of good ones. To see it fall down to what season 2 ended up being, pretty big disappointment. So we'll have to see how part 2 of part 2 comes out with Abby. Is that even what? It's not even in 2026, is it?
No, I think it's 27.
27. So we'll have to see what ends up happening. But it seems like I'm not alone. It's the kind of the common consensus that was like, what happened here? Was it everyone wants to point the finger at someone? Of course, people in the gamer space want to blame Neil for everything. Some people want to point at Craig Mazin. That's kind of where I lean, but who knows?
Yeah, it's interesting. Well, Chris, what do you think about this, The Last of Us HBO season 2?
Yeah, I'm in I'm in agreement. I think I think I saw the first 2 episodes and I was like, I don't know. Something's missing. There's like a sauce that's kind of missing. Like me and my friends had watch parties for the first season of The Last of Us, which I remember like we'd have a day set aside. I think it was Sundays, right? That it would come out. And
right.
We would all get together. I would watch it beforehand and pretend like I hadn't seen it because I can't do it. People are going to be talking. People are going to be getting up. It's like, I can't do a watch party like that. But not a single hint of that happening for season 2. Like, I don't think anybody even floated the idea. So that's kind of interesting. It's like just anecdotal. But the consensus does seem to be that, like, yeah, they kind of missed the mark on certain things. I think the casting really, the issues that people had with the casting in season 1 kind of came into effect this season, where I think a lot of people were like, yeah, I mean, Bella Ramsey plays a good Ellie for the first game, but like, can she do a good Ellie for the second game, where she's supposed to be imposing and kind of somewhat sinister, and not sinister necessarily, but like imposing and a little scary? And the answer is kind of no. Like, it kind of doesn't work. Among other things, some weird character changes, like the "I'm going to be a dad" line is kind of a weird. I don't know why you would. I don't know why you would change that.
My opinion on, I got to say this real quick. Put this on the record. I don't think I ever really said this. Is I really feel like people are really over or misinterpreting that line. Maybe it wasn't delivered right, but I think people are taking it in a way that it was not meant to be. It was supposed to be stupid, I think. Sure. Yeah, no, I understand. I just think like it's delivered in a clunky way, and it also is just not what's said in the original game. Like, I think the original game has a version of that conversation that I think is a little bit more grounded and a little bit more. Dude, she's pissed. Yeah, she's like angry. Yeah, and I remember like thinking because they're like way far away from home and stuff. Yeah, they're way far away, and it's like a justifiable. I mean, people didn't like Ellie in that scene either, but like, you're kind of not supposed to. You're kind of supposed to be like a little bit frustrated
but this one was like, I don't know, like really little things like that they would change, and I'd be like, why? And so I don't know. I didn't really end up getting into it for that reason, I think.
Look who's here.
Oh, we've been visited.
What are you doing?
Oh, hey there.
Well, Treble's at the doc. She had to go to she had to see her physician today. I've been saying that.
Is she drugged up?
Well, she has allergies, so we sent her to this pet allergist to do to do their experiments or whatever to see like what she's allergic to. So we have to pick her up later. So he's probably just lonely downstairs by himself. Hey, Rushy boy. How you doing, bud? It's good to see you. For The Last of Us on HBO, I think we all agree, and Dustin, I think you already said it, like the first season is fucking really good, and it's surprising that the second season kind of missed the mark so badly. I think I like it a little more than most people because I think it does some really fun stuff, and I think from a visual point of view, from like a production point of view, it's actually really nice. And I think a lot of the characters are great, but I think the thing that wore on me, especially in hindsight and in recollection, is just Ellie is miscast, and it comes off more now that where Ellie is she comes off like a dickhead.
Yeah, she comes off like a brat.
Yeah,
in season 2, and it's like they didn't change the writing to scale with her age like the games did.
Right, like she's a more mature operator by the time the last. So I don't know, man. We did a review discussion for every episode. People can go listen to that on Sacred Symbols Plus. But yeah, it's it was, I guess, surprising, but also not surprising to see it win the Game Award. Considering, I guess, it's just like things like Twisted Metal weren't even nominated because I think people didn't really watch it mostly in the industry, but. Did it really deserve to win over? Did it win over Fallout or something like that? I mean, that seems a little.
Well, Fallout wasn't eligible for this year because Fallout, I think won last year,
right?
And this year, I think it's literally coming out today on the day that we're recording this, like season 2. So
it wouldn't even be eligible next year then.
So, which I'm actually looking forward to, dude. I think Fallout's great, but
a lot of advertising for it during football. I'll tell you that.
It was up against like Splinter Cell and like Devil May Cry, Minecraft movie.
Yeah, Minecraft maybe would have been the winner. People really like that movie, right? Or it did well anyway.
It's a big movie.
Yeah, sure.
It had Jack Black with his little chicken jockey moment. It's a big moment, no doubt.
Chicken jockey.
Little Bradley Badger ass. Deliver, but like I think ultimately it just wasn't really this year for adaptations was like 2014 Game of the Year kind of thing, where like Dragon Age Inquisition because yeah,
that's a tough sign of the times, man.
Kind of a light year.
All right, so that brings us to you, Chris. Let's stick with you. This is your third selection and 8 overall.
Okay, so. I'm going to go with Wolverine reemerges.
That's exactly what my notes say. It's so funny that you say it. Wolverine reemerges.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's so funny.
I wrote it exactly like that. Wolverine reemerges after devastating Insomniac leak. And, a lot of people, chunks of that game were full on fucking playable.
Definitely.
Lots of story leaked about it. I read all of it. I couldn't tell you what the hell happens. I don't remember at all. It helps that I don't know a damn thing about the X-Men or Wolverine outside of something I learned recently, which is that Cyclops doesn't shoot lasers, but instead shoots, I don't know, kinetic beams from the punch dimension, which is something that I didn't really want to know. Kind of ruined Cyclops for me.
What?
Notwithstanding.
What is that?
Yeah. What the fuck is that? Look, I read some of that and I remember being like, okay, whatever. And then it's completely out of my mind. But I did remember seeing some of the gameplay and even understanding that, like, okay, this is like early, footage or whatever. Like who's to say this is going to be good? I remember there was like a smell mechanic that kind of looked a little goofy. But I just remember being like, I don't know, man. Like I was kind of skeptical about Wolverine because I just wasn't sure. Insomniac is such a their prime focuses, in my experience, as I understand them, seem to be weapon diversity or locomotion, like really like kind of like Sunset Overdrive or Spider-Man, where like just the act of moving through the play space is fun, or it's just like a variety of different weapons at your disposal. And they're moving to a character that has not the most exciting locomotion because he's just a guy. He pounces, I guess, but like he's a guy, and he's got one weapon. So like I remember looking at that marriage and being like, I don't know about this. Like we have had one good Wolverine game in X-Men Origins Wolverine, which is unreasonably good considering the movie that it's based on.
Shout out Raven.
Shout out to Raven for that immaculate game. But, you know, that's one Wolverine game in a sea of, you know, granted not that many Wolverine games, but it's weird that it only happened once, you know? So there was this feeling going into Wolverine, or at least that I had, where I'm like, I don't know, this might, I mean, I know it'll do well. I know it'll have the good production value or whatever, but like, I don't know if I'm convinced that this is necessarily a worthy endeavor. And there was also the worry about Insomniac from a tonal perspective, where like I kind of felt that Spider-Man 2 is a good game. I enjoy it from a play standpoint, but like there's some Weenie Hut Jr. ass character work in that game. I don't know what the hell. I don't believe that Harry, MJ, Miles, and all these people are like New Yorker friends who've known each other for a while. I remember the scene at Coney Island where they're like, it comes across as like, I don't even know. It's like, no, you cut in line. Like it just feels insane. It feels insanely nice. Like it's unbelievable. And so I was like, oh, I don't know. Like them doing Wolverine, I don't know. Like, doesn't Wolverine have to be like bloody and like real? And you know what? Props to them because they shut me the hell up.
Then frame
because
one.
That trailer, yeah, frame one, dude. Like it's bloody, it's visceral. It looks like they got him moving well. It looks like the tone's pretty good, and it looks like it's coming together in a way that's shaping up to be really, really exciting. And it went from a game that I was going to play out of sheer obligation because it's we're on a PlayStation show and it would make sense to obviously keep up with it. To now being a game that I was like, you know what? Yeah, I'm genuinely looking forward to whatever that is. So shout out on them for, you know, flipping the narrative a little bit and finally reemerging after quite a long silence. Like it was an unusually long silence for them. So yeah, that's my third.
Yeah, I'm checking that off my list. My Wolverine reemerges on my list. Dustin, what do you have to say about Wolverine's reemergence?
Yeah, it was exciting to see it. It definitely bumped it up a few notches for me, particularly the goriness was
so bloody.
Just it's vile in the right way. There's like a shot in particular in my mind of the trailer where like his claws go up into a guy's neck and through his head, and I'm like, yeah, okay, all right, pretty
Hot
cool.
fuzz action.
Yeah, I'm not. I wouldn't say like I'm terribly excited for it, but it's one of those games that when it gets here, I'm going to play it and I'm probably going to think it's awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm glad that, you know, as Chris was saying, they were able to change the narrative on the game just because it seemed like people were kind of down on it and not sure what they were going to get. Was the Insomniac leak 1 year ago?
Yeah, it was 2 years ago.
It was 2 years ago. I just remember,
but it was this time.
I remember being in the car and getting a text from you, Colin. It's like, should we hop on Mike?
Yeah, Mike is the
like,
one who really is like, you can't be doing this.
I was like,
it did feel negligent. But
I was driving.
I was because it's like maybe one of the biggest stories of the entire generation, actually. But
it really is.
But at the same time, like we're off.
Yeah, I think you had decided to not do it by the time I finished driving, because I had not even responded by the time. But yeah. So Wolverine. Excited to see it. I like Insomniac, so I'm willing to be. Dude, Short Kings rise up with Wolverine.
Definitely.
Yeah,
definitely.
I think they're still a bit too afraid. They're still a bit too afraid of making him like proper comic accurate Wolverine. So like, I'm a little bummed about that. Where it's just like you don't have
like 5'2" or whatever, and he hunches over.
Yeah, and he's I think he hunches over this, so he is 5'2", but like he's a short guy. He's like still probably like 5'6" max, you know, but like. He's always like Hugh Jackman is like 6 foot or whatever. Like it is kind of, I get it, but like it could be cool.
Yeah, no, certainly.
You know,
for our shorter friends out there, Wolverine's a cool. I've always dug Wolverine. I've always thought he was a pretty cool character. All the X-Men, not all of them, but I like a lot of those guys. They're fun characters. So, and I thought Sabretooth was pretty cool too. So back in the day, and isn't Omega Red and like there's a bunch of random characters in this, which is going to be pretty cool.
Yeah.
I agree with you guys. I think that it was a big deal. I was extremely worried about this game. I became less. So, I mean, there's all the signs that you should be worried about it.
Yeah. They lost the director a couple times.
Yeah, they lost the director, which is hard. I mean, there are games that come out like Final Fantasy 12 as an example or whatever, where it's like it worked out. But directors don't leave during a project. Like that's just not a thing that happens. That's why you should be worried about fair games. You know, like there's like everyone that get the fuck out of here. It's if you've gone that long and spent that much money and haven't delivered. And I'll also remind everyone, Wolverine was announced at the same time as Spider-Man 2. There's no way on God's green earth it was supposed to take this long. We're probably talking about a game that's no less than, by the time it comes out, 2.5 or 3 years late. So it's clearly things didn't go right. But if you know a little bit about the mechanics of Insomniac, you saw a name like Marcus Smith take over. Marcus Smith is an incredibly important person at Sony and has been for a long time director, directed Resistance, directed Sunset Overdrive, directed Ratchet and Clank, the newest Ratchet and Clank. So he did the Spider-Man DLC. So very, very talented person. And Insomniac seems like it was probably always, I never really did personally, but it was always unfair to judge the game based on the leaks because this is shit they were sending back and forth of them playing in gray box fucking environments and figuring out mechanics. And none of this stuff was supposed to be seen. And every game looks like that. Right. And plays like that when it's really early. We saw that with Project Draconis from Deviation. It's like this is like the first run, them building the game out. And so it was probably always a little unfair to judge them based on that. But I was more judging them just based on the fact that I know timelines. I know why you announce games and when you do, and there's something seriously wrong with the game. And then when you lose the director, you realize something is seriously wrong with the game. And I think we're going to be okay. So, and it looks great. I mean, it doesn't look passable. It looks fucking great. So yeah, right. That's what I was kind of expecting. I was like, maybe they just shit this thing out. It's a 75 and it sells millions of copies. And they're like, we're moving on. And this kind of segues us into our X-Men franchise from their perspective or whatever. But I think it's going to be much more than that. If the first look of it is that maybe it's a really shallow bullshit game. I don't know, but I somehow doubt it. And I do like that they had to lean into the violence. I mean, they had to lean into it. I do not understand how they would have done the game. And dispelling any theory that it could be anything else other than that, and as we've said many times in the first, shot of the trailer is dope. And I think that was very intentional and telegraphed and wise. So we'll see what happens with Wolverine next fall. It's going to be pretty close to Grand Theft Auto. I don't know that it'll really matter, to be honest. I think Wolverine will sell very well, and I think Wolverine's probably a long tail game too. All right. My third one, and this is 9 overall, is Hermen Hulst's Demotion. This happened early in the year. This actually happened in late January. And I went and looked up the press release for this just to see what they said. So you'll remember that and this is how quickly it happened and why I'm like, damn, dude, I would love to know what happened here. It was June 1st, 2024. They made him co-CEO of PlayStation with Hideaki Nishino. And so 7 months later, they demote him and make it so that he keeps his title, CEO of Studio Business Group, and will report to Nishino now. I don't know that there's much to really say about this other than that and this could be radically unfair. I want to say that this is just a theory of the case, but I'm like the guy that the black detective in Dexter, like looking at Hermen Hulst through the windshield, where I'm like, are you the weak link? And did they identify this? Part of me is just curious about it all, the chemistry of it all behind the scenes. It's like, how did you not know this already? Considering all the shit that happened. But then it's like, think about the timeline, right? June 1st, 2024. What happens a few months after that, Dustin?
Concord.
Right. And I don't know if you could, in good faith. By the way, June 1st, 2024, I think is before anyone even played Concord. So I don't think anyone really even knew, right? Like it was before like the beta. And I think they looked at this and said like, well, the buck stops with you, I guess, Hermen. This is the biggest catastrophe in first party history by a mile. In fact, we bought the team.
Oh God.
I just, it's so crazy to me that people don't see it for what it is. Like they really didn't know. And they were confident in that game. So confident, again, you don't have to have any you don't have to talk to anyone about the game like I have. Like just look at the way it went down. You don't buy the team. Period. Period. Yep. If the milk is spoiled, why do you buy the cow? They thought it was like the most pristine milk. They were afraid the cow was going to go and work for some other farmer, probably. Which is exactly what Arrowhead is doing, working for themselves. But I think this demotion means something, and I really do believe Hermen. So again, this is a belief. This is not fact. I don't know anything necessarily about this. So just take it for what it is. But I believe he is at the nexus of all of this bullshit. And I wonder if they were just like, we can't really fire you. You know, but at the same time, like, look what they did to Shuhei. Like we know now that they basically gave him an ultimatum. Like either you take this significant demotion or you just go. And they're under contract. So I want people to be clear. Like there's no such thing as at-will employment at the executive level at Sony. Like you sign like a 3 or 5 or whatever year deal, you're getting paid. Unless they get rid of you for cause. And for cause is not necessarily based on your performance. For cause is like a sexual impropriety or like stealing from the company or whatever. And then they can nullify your contract. But otherwise, they just promoted. So imagine the CEO of PlayStation, what that person makes. I don't want to throw out crazy numbers. You assume it's $5+ million a year. And then you're Hermen Hulst and you sign a 5-year contract or whatever. And so they're on the hook for $25 million. The money's kind of irrelevant. From your point of view with Hulst, it's like, from Sony's perspective, from Hulst's perspective, it's like, well, I'm not going anywhere. And you can fire me. It's going to make you look stupid. But I just wanted to throw out there that I don't know if we'll ever know the full stories behind all the shit that went wrong. I feel like it's got to be him. And I'm not saying it's just him, but the culture of games starts with him.
Mm-hmm.
He is the head of all of these prestigious teams. So, yeah, I wanted to throw out Hermen Hulst's demotion. Chris, do you have any thoughts on this?
I feel like you said I can't imagine, because I remember, like you mentioned, that like Hermen was a key voice in getting, the Firewalk situation underway, and so like that can't be nothing, Like that's the biggest blunder that they've ever had, really, like, or that they've had in recent memory. I still remember, like, I have this vague memory, like I can't remember the specifics of it, but like being at a bar and hearing like Insomniac people talk about how fucked Concord was before I knew that it was Concord. I think they were using the code name that you actually reported.
Right. Yeah, I can't remember it anymore. Yeah, but it's so funny you had said that at the time. Yeah, every once in a while you come up with you say things privately and I'm like, damn, it's, and then
I know it would have been.
It's dangerous to report things if you don't know for sure.
Right. I was trying to be a little careful, but like, I mean, I had this on my list too, but it's, the Bucks got to stop at some point, right?
I just wonder. I mean, I'm so hard on Matt Booty, who's like was his Xbox counterpart. I mean, Hermen's been promoted out of that and is now kind of the head of these teams in an executive form. But like the culture of creation has to start with someone, and he's a producer. He was one of the producers of Guerrilla's great games, and he knows something about games. So you have to assume, like, if it's not him, then who is it? Who is the tastemaker? It's got to be him. Or at least like a culture under him of other people that are also similar minded tastemakers. The proof's in the pudding, frankly. I mean, there's like no argument about this, because I even know, Dustin, will go to you. Like, some people are like, he wasn't really demoted. I'm like, no, he was.
Yeah. Like,
I don't know how else you read this, and I don't know how you don't understand that it was because of Concord, and that like no serious organization is going to give someone that helped shepherd that into prime time co-executive role, CEO of, you're going to be the chief, executive officer of this organization. This is completely unserious. So I think and that's what I was saying, like $25 million, I'm just throwing that number out there, but like whatever Hermen Hulst's contract is worth is like an irrelevant amount of money to Sony.
Right.
But I don't think they can optically fire him.
Right. Yeah, it's I think what's important to note too is that it may not just be Concord either.
I mean, there's all the other shit that was canceled.
Yeah,
I mean, a lot of that was canceled. He was the head of, he was really the head of these teams. So the buck's on him.
Fair Games. What was the game that we just saw the leak of last week?
Oh, Draconis. Yeah, and there's The Last of Us Online didn't end up panning
Last
out.
of Us Online.
The Bungie acquisition, Marathon's troubles, the canceled God of War game, the canceled Bend game, the canceled Twisted Metal game. I mean,
yep.
It's unclear. I don't want to blame him for all of that. Who knows who's responsible for second party stuff? But when it's the Sony IP, I would assume it's really all the same.
Yeah.
So Hermen, I've met him. He's a very nice person. It's not personal, although it's deeply personal in a way. I mean, it's when people say that, it's always like the most deeply personal thing. But I just feel like if we're so hard on Xbox's executives and almost make fun of them, it's like, well, there was a blunderous fellow, it seems like, on the Sony side as well. And this is what I've said a million times, right? Ad nauseum. It's going real well for PlayStation right now. Imagine how good it could be if they had all these, these cannons actually firing properly as opposed to jamming and blowing up on the deck. All right, Dustin, we go back to you this is your 4th pick, and this is 10 overall.
Yeah, last one was pretty negative. So let's go to a positive story. A game on PlayStation, but the game that dominated the year in terms of conversation, whether you love it, you like it, or you hate it, it was Claire Obscura, Expedition 33, which we are hot off the heels of it winning Game of the Year and practically every other award at the Game Awards. And so maybe it's a little bit of a tired conversation at this point, but who knows? Maybe you're listening to this in the year 2030, remembering back to this year. Probably not. But this game.
It's one of our nurses at the home.
Yeah.
Right.
Trying to understand more about why these people are so broken.
Trying to understand.
She's testifying.
I like to think that no one's listening it because the world's gone by 2030.
Right.
No one's alive.
God willing.
At that point.
God willing.
God willing, yeah. The thing I've brought up numerous times, so I'm sorry if you heard me say it, but it's so funny thinking back. I remember, I think it was specifically Chris and I, when this game was revealed and leading up to it, we were like, this game looks so cool, but there's got to be something wrong with it. Like it doesn't add up in that it is, the core team is small, unknown. And I'm not saying like, it's 33 people that worked on it. We all know it was more than 33 people. You get what I'm saying though. Small core team of developers, unknown. And then they come out and they release this game that gets an insane OpenCritic, Metacritic score, is loved by so many people. And it kind of dominates the year in terms of a lot of conversations for better or for worse. Some people, taking the idea of like, look at what a passionate team is able to do with so much less. And also more negative conversations where about the fan base being annoying. Of course, anytime there's a big game or anything that gets big, there's going to be an annoying fan base. So of course, like it's not necessarily a revolutionary RPG by any means, but it's about the whole presentation, which I think was incredibly well done. And it's regardless about how you feel about the game, whether you loved it or not, or if you just liked it, I think it's an incredible story. It's a really feel good story about this team of some ex-developers and people that came together and found each other on SoundCloud or on Reddit and came together and with a lot of passion and determination made this game that impacted so many people. You get a lot of great game of the years over the years, but there's something a little bit different about Clair Obscur and the story behind it. And at least for me, from the game itself, is a very special game of the year.
Chris, thoughts?
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree wholeheartedly, dude. Like, it was, I remember seeing it for the first time and being like, that looks interesting. I don't normally care about these types of games, but like, for whatever reason, it stuck out to me. I don't know if it was the Persona style kind of menu, or I don't know if it was the way that it looked. It had like an Unreal Engine realism, but also like stylized in like a really subtle way that kind of grabbed my attention. I was like, oh, that doesn't, it looks real, but it doesn't. Like, what's going on there? Like, something about it caught my eye, and I figured it would be special. And it's cool that it ended up really meeting and exceeding a lot of people's expectations, including mine. But yeah, it was the dominant. As far as like single player games go, like it was clearly like the dominant cultural like zeitgeist of the industry for months and months, and I totally get why.
Yeah.
I think
It's,
what else? I'm sorry. Go ahead. Dustin.
Just to add,
Please.
One thing, Chris, that you made me think of is I mentioned before on the show many times my friend Jason, who I consider like my half normie friend, that he has PS5, he plays games, but he would never play an RPG. And it's not that he hates RPGs, it's just not his thing.
Right.
And he fell in love with this game. He probably loves it more than me. Talks about it all the time. He was watching the Game Awards because he wanted to see it win. And it's a really interesting scenario where I think that this game, having more of a Western look, was able to bring people into RPGs that had never played them before. And I think that's really special too. But Colin, please.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, like, we said so much about this game. I think that one thing I'll say is that I just think anything that in a positive way affects gaming discourse in such a crowded moment and manages to carve out such a substantial piece of geography for itself in people's minds in a year so busy and a time so busy. And I've reflected many times that no game seems to have any geography at all anymore, like even big games. As I said earlier, Team Cherry announced that they sold 7 million copies of Silksong, which is plus whatever they had on Game Pass, which is a huge success, especially for an indie studio. And yet that game doesn't really have the zeitgeist. Not because people aren't playing it by the millions, they are, but because there's just so much dilution of the conversation. Everyone's being split in all these different directions. I was bringing up how a game like Chronos, The New Dawn, which I loved, sold 500,000 copies and no one talks about it. Like, you don't see anyone talking about it. And so that Expedition 33 could sell as appreciably as it did. Also a Game Pass game, so even more people than it, just its sales numbers reflect, played it. And can remain relevant, talked about, supported, loved, sweep the Game Awards. No recency bias for that game. I mean, that game didn't, if anything, suffered from a lack of recency bias because it came out so early, and a lot of games in that window are often ignored. I think that alone is worth a kind of a round of applause. And because there's no doubt some people are critical of the game. I'm critical of it really mostly in terms of its story, but I think it's a pretty extraordinary game otherwise, and I really, really loved it. And you know me, I love turn-based role-playing games. I've never stopped playing turn-based role-playing games. I've been going to bat for turn-based role-playing games forever. I'm not one of those people that's going to lose my mind when things change. Final Fantasy 16 is a good example. We'll always have Dragon Quest. We'll always have these other things that are more traditional. And this game is in a more traditional mold with a highly, I don't want to even say modern, like a very unique and different way of approaching combat within the confines of something not only familiar, but incredibly old. I mean, turn-based games are as old as role-playing games, and much older. Chess is a turn-based game. Backgammon's a turn-based game, right? Football is a turn-based game. So I love that they caught lightning in a bottle with something so weird. And the weird thing is not that it's unheard of. The weird thing is that people care about this again. And I will say, as far as turn-based role-playing games are concerned, this game has opened people's eyes and their minds to what that means. Because I think people will be like, it's menu simulator. I remember that stuff back in the day, and I'm sick of playing in menus. And I'm like, well, you play in menus a little bit, but really it's actually active. You take a turn, but then it's based on your dexterity and your memory, and you can't brute force your way through the game. I mean, this is what I've said over and over again, what I love about it is it's so weird. Like you can make it easier for you to withstand damage and do more damage and all of that by leveling, but it's really about getting good. But yet it's a turn-based game, which is the most approachable kind of role-playing game. Action RPGs were always the ones that not turn people off, but made people nervous because you don't have time to think, and you can't just grind and make it easier for yourself. So I think there's a lot to say about Expedition 33. You've said a lot already. We've talked about this game a ton already, so I don't want to be too redundant, but that's where my mind is that like, I think the game deserves a round of applause and a lot of respect for doing what it did, just by virtue of what it is, when it is. All right. Chris, that brings us to you. This is your fourth selection, number 11 overall.
Yeah, man. So I guess following in sort of the same sort of vein is the only other game that I can think of this year that kind of like came out of nowhere and really dominated the culture. Arc Raiders kind of popping off out of nowhere, doing this weird special thing, introducing a shit ton of people to extraction shooters and basically taking over every single, like all my feed, like my entire feed is this burnt.
By the way,
guy.
Chris, I wrote in my notes, Arc Raiders brings extraction shooters mainstream.
Yeah.
Copying.
Wait, I wrote
your
Arc
homework.
Raiders becomes the first mainstream extraction shooter.
Right.
Yeah. Great minds. I just love that. I'm just copying Chris's homework. Anyway, Chris, go ahead.
No, I mean, this was a game that not a lot of people, this was not a game that people were like anticipating in any great way. It's very much a Helldivers 2 kind of situation. Like people were curious about it. Maybe some hardcore fans were like looking forward to it. It had been through a number of, design shifts. I think it was originally supposed to be just like a co-op oriented looter shooter. And then they pivoted real hard and made something completely different. They shifted towards extraction. And normally that kind of thing it's interesting because normally that kind of thing is like a death sentence for games. Like I think about Avowed, which was originally supposed to be like a co-op kind of, or like a multiplayer, like live service game. And then it kind of got retooled into a single player RPG. And you can kind of feel the ways in which, especially with the Outer Worlds too, if you compare them, it's just like, you can tell the ways in which like, starting from one thing and having to brute force it into something else affects the end product in a way that it doesn't when it just starts as the thing that it was always supposed to be. And so for something to make a huge design shift like that and, still hit, that's a big deal. And it's what's interesting, especially now, because we're kind of off the heels of a marathon Vidoc, is it seems like now there are so many more people who get it. Like there's a lot more people who know what this genre is now because of Arc Raiders, to the point where like I'm looking at the marathon Vidoc and I'm looking at the comments and it's like, oh, it looks great. And it's like awesome.
Yeah,
interesting.
But
it's interesting because I remember I was in that situation. I remember like I was looking forward to Marathon because, I'm a Bungie guy. I like the way their games feel, but I remember being curious. I don't know if I'll like this. And I kind of didn't for like the first like couple hours. And then I got into it and then the alpha ended. And that's what got me even remotely curious about Arc Raiders in the first place. And to give it a shot and to play it for as long as I did. And so to see this game exploding and kind of priming a lot of people for this genre and like getting into it and like I said, just taking over social media, like blowing that burnt peanut guy up in a way that like I haven't seen like, a content creator explode like that in a while.
It's so visually funny, man. Like
he's a funny, like I'm not disappointed whenever he shows up. I'll put it that way. Like they're good clips, but yeah, just this unusual genre, this kind of, I think a lot of people would say Tarkov is kind of like the PUBG. It's looking like Arc Raiders is the Fortnite, and it's looking like Marathon's kind of stepping in to be the Apex. Almost in direct, you can almost directly compare those.
Yeah, like graph on. Yeah.
Yeah, grafted on. Even just the third person angle of, Fortnite and Arc Raiders, like they kind of fit into this weird. It's interesting to see, and so that game kind of came out of nowhere, swept everybody's attention in a year, and in a year, by the way, that had a Call of Duty come out that, in fairness, wasn't great. Nobody likes it, but in a year with a strong Battlefield game, like it's a pretty. The multiplayer space is it's difficult to hit in that space, and Embark. They made a great game with the finals years ago that like I talked about a while back, and that game's got a healthy population, but nowhere near the explosion that Arc Raiders has. And I'm just happy for the team. I think they've made a really cool thing and introduced a lot of people to a very interesting genre that even just a year ago I wouldn't have considered myself to be even remotely a fan of. And yeah, so props to them, props to Embark for managing to stick out in an Expedition 33 way in a really crowded year that demands a lot of your attention. There are 100-hour games out there. There are multiplayer games, forever games that are constantly kind of trying to draw you in. And they struck gold, and that's cool.
Anything to add, Dustin?
Yeah, Arc Raiders, I mean, it's been a surprise for everyone, but was a huge surprise for me. I was interested from being a fan of the finals, and I think what Chris is saying about, it is the first mainstream extraction shooter. It showed normies what extraction shooters are, and that includes me. Yeah, I remember playing the last like server slam and being like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if I'm into this high stakes situation. Like, I think I'm going to be annoyed. And even when I first started playing Arc Raiders, I wasn't fully into it until I like started to understand it. And Arc Raiders has like an emergent gameplay feel, not like we talk about emergent gameplay in a game like, Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom or something like that, but just like no two match is the same in Arc Raiders. And that's because of the different elements of, the proximity voice chat, the ability to have soft alliances with other players. It's really, really cool. And I think Embark I'm rooting for them as a team, just because I think what they did with the finals was really good. And the fact that they already went for Arc Raiders and like, they realized that they're like, maybe the shop is a little too expensive. We're going to lower the price in the shop. And if you bought something, we're going to refund you the difference. It's stuff like that I think earns a lot of goodwill with the players. And the updates so far have already been awesome. I haven't played is a cold snap right now in Arc Raiders.
I haven't touched it in weeks, but I haven't
been on in the past week just because we've been getting stuff done for the content. But shout out to Arc Raiders. And as Chris was saying, it has made me more open to Marathon.
Yeah, that was a big point for me too, was just because I wrote in my notes about Arc Raiders. I also had to think about Marathon. Maybe we'll get into it, but it's just, again, I think this is a little bit less resonant with me because I don't play these kinds of games, unlike Expedition 33, which I played and beat. So much more familiar with it, but it's almost like a different thing. It's like a different side of the same coin. If Expedition 33 managed to carve out itself a place very impressively in such a crowded single player space, then you have to even look at what Arc Raiders did in the multiplayer space is actually much more impressive, because there's just so much more action over there. And I'm not even talking about necessarily competition. There are probably actually fewer games, but it's just populations of people that really are really loyal to a certain product or certain products. Transience is probably high for free-to-play games, but not so much a game like Arc Raiders, where you have to pay for it. And you have to kind of earn your way. And it's what I keep saying over and over again, where it's not that like money is going to disappear out of the game space. It's going to continue to flood into the game space. It's that the losers are going to multiply. And so whoever wins is going to win big. And these guys won big.
Yeah.
And I agree. I think it's good for Marathon. I think this going in another direction, or Marathon, maybe the only other, like the third choice for Marathon would have been launching into an environment where Arc Raiders just never existed. But
I think that would have been bad too.
Yeah, I think that probably would.
Honestly.
Yeah, I think so too. So I don't know. Anyway, yeah, shout out to Arc Raiders. And I'll be very interested to see, to your point, Chris, how that affects the finals. Because I think that gives the finals like more runway to be a more niche game. Dustin, I know you played it for a while, right? The finals?
Oh, yeah.
So there's still, I think, tens of thousands of people playing it at any given time. That's nothing to sneeze at. And this gives them probably more runway to try to, it probably, first of all, is like a relief valve, like a steam valve being fucking unleashed, because it's like, we don't have the pressure on us anymore about keeping the finals going. We have something that's bigger than the finals ever was. And hopefully we can have both. All right. This brings it to 13. So this brings it to Chris, right?
No, I just went.
Oh, so is it 13-4? Oh, it's me. Okay, right. I'll go with this one. Just corporate buyouts and consolidation. Obviously, the big one this calendar year is the most recent one, and that's Netflix and Warner Brothers. And that'll affect Warner Brothers games and their products. It remains unknown how that will happen. And as we said on Sacred Symbols, I think people are vastly overstating and in fact even misrepresenting, intentionally or otherwise, what was actually said about Warner Brothers games assets by Netflix. People were saying like they look at them as worthless, and it's like that's not what they said. I mean, they literally are just saying we don't care. It's not saying that it's worthless. Right. It's saying like, well, this is not part of our calculus, and we'll figure it out when the deal happens. But there's that. But I actually think there's two other bigger ones, smaller by money, but bigger in terms of resonance in the game space. The first is Ubisoft and Tencent. What I was really interested in, and I have to look more about this. We'll have already reported on this on the previous episode of the show. But Ubisoft just bought a studio, and I don't know if you guys saw that overnight, like a French-Canadian studio of some size from Amazon that's making some sort of, it's like a MOBA or something that they're making, and some sort of multiplayer game. And I'm like, wow, they maybe are on a little more steady ground than I thought, at least internally, because it says that, and I have to read into this more, maybe this is wrong, but it said Ubisoft bought it. In other words, not the new entity that's like the spun off entity with Tencent, but that first deal with Tencent and Ubisoft kind of spinning off Ubisoft's most valuable assets into this new company that they're going to invest in is a huge deal, and is going to have a major effect on thousands and thousands of employees ultimately at Ubisoft. And I assume that many people are going to lose their jobs ultimately when this thing goes through, which is sad, but true, as they kind of hone in on their best studios and their most prominent IP. And I like Ubisoft. I mean, I think a lot of people don't like them. I'm like, I like Far Cry. I've liked some other, I love Far Cry, and I've liked some, The Division. I want them to do well. I just don't know what this new environment, how it bodes for them. And then, of course, after that, we had this deal with Electronic Arts and the Saudi Investment Fund, which is still in progress and is just a shitty deal, in which the Saudi government will own 93%, I think, of EA when it goes through. I don't know who benefits from that when that happens, other than the Saudis. I don't know why we're insisting. So it's different with Ubisoft. Well, it's different with Netflix and Warner Brothers. They're both American. I'm not crazy about that deal, but Ubisoft and Tencent, these are two foreign companies. They can do whatever they want. I don't give a shit. EA in Saudi Arabia, though, this is in my craw a little bit. And I think things just happen at such kinetic speeds now in life, politics, whatever, that this can't even be fully absorbed by Congress or anyone that can stop it. Because there's just it's just so crazy. And I don't like the idea of us exporting the value of the things we worked hard to create. And EA is not nothing. I know a lot of people are mad at EA and upset. It's certainly not Trip Hawkins Electronic Arts anymore. I mean, I understand that, but this is a great American company, and they're not going to be anymore. And I think it's fucking heinous, personally. Not the sale, but the idea that you can't find domestic buyers or even buyers in friendlier countries. What else can I say about this that hasn't already been said? Dustin, do you have anything you want to add about this?
I hate it. That's about it. Sucks.
Yeah, the corporate consolidation generally, or the that deal in particular.
All of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think EA is the one that feels the most nasty and gross right now. I just saw while we were recording, it seems like it is going to be Netflix. Warner Bros. Discovery is planning to reject Paramount's Skydance hostile takeover bid.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I mean, it sucks the EA thing sucks from a more political American standpoint. And just the merging where Netflix and Warner Brothers, I think probably will have a greater impact on movies, but it's like, man, what is it? Is there going to be like 15 companies, 20, 30 years down the line because they've all just merged and the consumers are all just consistently milked for everything that they're worth because there's no other options for places for people to go to. It's just, it's feeling more dystopian all the time.
Yeah, it sucks. I think capitalism needs to be restrained from its worst excesses or it stops serving the people. Like, capitalism is a completely righteous, useful, good economic system that allows people to extract value, to win or lose, to make a lot of money. That's all great. But at some point, man, it's how I feel with the healthcare companies right now. I'm like, what do you think you're doing? Like, it's almost like why are you disrupting the system like this through avarice and fucking greed? And it's just fucking crazy. I know it's hard to say, like, wouldn't you sell out? Wouldn't you sell? What if you owned 10,000 shares of EA? And I'm like, but I just think at some point doing the right thing, like I say this all the time about myself, like I'm not this mega rich person, but it's like I've made good money and I'm feeling good and I don't need to extract. Who am I, a fucking robber baron? Like, I just don't know why people aren't more restrained. And I know that's like a silly and naive thing to say in some sense, but it's just like, what the fuck, dude? People just sell us out left, right, and center and ruin the system for everyone. So, Chris, you have anything you want to add?
I didn't say anything. No, well, I would say all of that in the same way, but like slightly louder.
Yeah. Like the bastardization of capitalism is like one of the most unfortunate things because capitalism changed the world and brought people out of poverty. And our standard of living across the board is just so much higher because of it. And and it's like, you couldn't just leave good enough alone. You can't make millions or hundreds of millions, tens of millions. It's got to be billions and tens of billions and hundreds of billions. And it's going to be trillions soon.
You got to tend the garden, man. You can't just leave a garden unattended. The weeds are going to choke out everything. It's bad.
It's like,
and it trends that way if it's just left unaccounted for. That's how it's just with the nature of it.
Of course.
So you got to go in every so often and like reset the meta. It's like, I don't know.
Nothing's easier than making money with money.
Yeah.
So there's risk about that. Some people lose. But like when I see things like, and you guys know the audience, I was like, I think Elon Musk is great. When I hear things and I think he's crazy, but I think he's great. And when I hear things like he's going to be worth $1 trillion soon, I'm like, that's unacceptable. Do you have any idea how much money that is? And I listen, I'm not one of these people that's like, he could solve world hunger if he just liquidated. It's like, I understand it's not cash. I get it. It's net worth. It's value. But like, no one should command that much money. No individual. And I truly believe that just gives you too much power. Like, no one should want it. Even if you're like one of the greatest inventors, one of the like a Steve Jobs like character, or like, who would like be rich today? People like Benjamin Franklin and John Hancock and those guys. But like John Hancock was crazy rich. He had 1/400th of the entire value of the 13 colonies during the revolution. Can you believe that? That's like crazy levels of like mercantile rich. But to me, it's just like, I don't know, $1 trillion is getting there. It's actually there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, $1 billion is like, people don't. I think people are just conditioned because we don't understand. We can't actually conceptualize that much of anything. $1 billion is fucking crazy by itself. Like one
Yeah, it's 100. It's 1,000 million. It's 1,000 million.
I always like to use that way. I always like to use the time thing where it's like 1 million seconds. I think is like about 2 weeks, and I think 1 billion seconds is like 30 years. It's fucking like that's insane. Like, and 1 million is a lot, but even by a standard of that, it's like that's a completely reasonable. Like, people could make $1 million ethically. I don't know if you could make $1 billion ethically.
Yeah, I don't
personally, but that's getting into a whole nother fucking thing.
Well, but I also think people are like, well, what do you want to do about it? And my honest answer is like, I don't know. Like, we didn't do enough to stop it. Like, or to be like, this can't, like, you let it happen. And now I don't know what you do. I don't know how you put that genie back in the bottle, how you put that toothpaste back in the tube. I have no fucking idea. I know how you stop people from accumulating that much money, but it's kind of unfair to stop it now. You know, it's kind of like what we say about, or I've said about like developing countries where it's like we cut our CO2 emissions, then India and China just jack up their CO2 emissions. And it's like, well, it's kind of unfair that we got to industrialize and they didn't.
Right. Yeah.
You know, like all things being even, it's like, well, anyway. I think people know I'm not an eat the rich person by any stretch of the imagination. I just think that there are like there's gratuitous amounts of wealth, like kingly amount of wealth. And I don't like it. Period. Yeah. I like having money. I like all that. That's great. I want more. But also, I don't think I have, let's be honest. I make like $50 or $100 million. I'm done. I don't know how you convince me to do anything ever again. Like, I don't have that kind of drive in me.
Bro, I'm there at 2.
Oh yeah. Well, exactly.
At 2 million, I'm out. Are you kidding? I could live the rest of my life comfortably on 2 million. Like, if you know how to make your dollar work, it's like, you're fine, dude. Like, you're set beyond like what you would even reasonably need.
That's why I've been like, I was just talking to my dad about this with like, finance and investment and stuff. And I'm like, I'm so conservative with my finances and like how I invest my money or whatever, because I think I can make I don't need much. I'm trying to like just accumulate as much as I can, but like, I think I can make these smaller sums work because I'm normal. You know, like, I'm not trying to buy an island and then build a temple on the island.
Yeah, you don't want to go to an island vacation and be photographed with Richard Branson. You don't want that?
I just want to live comfortably, like, and that's the thing is that's just what that means for different people. For me, it means like not really worrying.
Right.
But for a lot of people, it means radically different things. Anyway. All right. So we're on to number 13, which is the 5th choice for Dustin. This is your final choice. Make it count.
Final choice. Make it count. This is the one I find the most interesting, and I think it's one of the stories of the year. And we'll kind of combine this. We've got the rise of a player and the fall of a player. I'm talking about Call of Duty and Battlefield.
Mm-hmm.
And the Call of Duty one is a little bit more, I don't know, the writing's on the wall right now for Call of Duty. We don't know the official sales numbers yet of Black Ops 7, but as we talked about on Sacred Symbols just a few weeks ago, we got this weird statement from them about how they understand it didn't meet people's expectations, talking about how they're not going to do numbered titles back to back ever again. And along with, there was an article Maddie posted in our staff chat earlier today. It was just like Matt Booty responding to something. But in this IGN article, it says Black Ops 7 also is down more than 50% versus Black Ops 6. I believe that's in the European launch. We're already seeing like tweets about sales. Like, I think it was like on sale for like $30 already or something. So something has changed in the world of Call of Duty. And
yeah, it's Microsoft.
Yeah, it's Microsoft.
I'm only kidding.
Microsoft's part of it.
Yeah.
But I mentioned at the top of this isn't completely negative because we also have Arc Raiders, which we talked about earlier. But in this specific example, the rise of Battlefield 6. And I guess rise is kind of lightly used because Battlefield's been a big franchise for many, many years at this point, but had fallen off in the last 5-ish years between Battlefield 5, Battlefield 2048.
42, I think.
I don't know, some far future number.
Not that far future.
Yeah, neither one of those.
Oh God.
We'll still be doing this show in 2042. Dustin, gird your loins.
Yeah. Neither one of those really met expectations of both fans and sales and for the company. So to see them really lock in and make a game that was very popular for not only its fan base but bringing in new fans as well. I've talked in the past before about how there's been times where like Call of Duty, like before Infinite Warfare came out, which was probably over a decade at this point. I remember thinking at the time, like, man, this is the year for Battlefield to really kill it. And maybe there can be a bit of a shakeup. But they've never been able to really do it. They've never been able to strike when the iron's hot. And this year the stars aligned. And I'm sure they have Arc Raiders to thank as well for kind of doing that chip damage. But Call of Duty, I think ultimately really also just has to blame themselves because this game, not only is it that they have the stiffest competition ever, but it's I think it's like one of the poorest reviewed Call of Duty games in a very long time. And people were just simply not impressed with it, both from the gameplay, or not gameplay. Well, yeah, the gameplay, but the story mode, the multiplayer, across the board, not a good year. So what this means for Call of Duty going forward, I think is going to be probably the most interesting part. Maybe we'll know by next year, but it seems like it's time for some kind of reset. Will they take a year off? Hard to say. There's so much money involved, but
I really don't know if they financially can structure like they would have to really like cut teams and stuff if they did that, I think.
Right. So R.I.P. Bozo Call of Duty. Maybe not quite. Maybe it's not. It's a premature R.I.P. Bozo.
Premature.
Premature. Oh, I hate that.
Me too.
I don't like that, Colin.
Me too. I like saying it once in a while, but just to be as annoying as possible. Chris, what are your thoughts here on the decline of Call of Duty? Again, this is another one I had in my notes. Battlefield 6 potentially dethrones Call of Duty. I wrote. Very important story.
No, it's a huge, the first time that I feel like it's happened in an objective way. I think personally it's happened, like as far as like they've just made a better game. I thought it happened with Battlefield 1 and whatever that Call of Duty was, but I always think that's true. I always think Call of Duty kind of pales. But like this year, it just seemed like everybody was on the same page where it's just like, yeah, dude, this ain't it. Whatever it is. And to be fair, I have heard people say like the multiplayer is actually fine. It's like it's serviceably good, but you know, everything else that surrounds it, the AI, the weird AI cards that they put in there with the Studio Ghibli piss filter on. It's just like, oh man, dude, you were really scraping the bottom of the barrel with this one. And so, I mean, they hit the right time, you know. They pulled a bit of a Mahomes toward their ACL. Mm-hmm. Now they're out of the game this year. Yep. They'll be back probably next year.
Yeah, right. They're right. Yeah. Wow. Look at you.
But
very impressive.
Look at me with the sports analogies.
I know. Right? I can't believe that.
I'm doing things. But no, I totally. This was on my list too. But yeah, it's what a good. It's a feel good moment for me because as a resident hater. and a lover of Battlefield, it's nice. I was hoping that this would be the outcome, but I was also kind of be like, be realistic, Chris. It's not going to happen. They're going to come out and they're going to hit it, and Battlefield 6 is going to disappoint in some way, and it didn't. Like, there's obviously every game has like some nitpicks or whatever, but like largely, this was the year Battlefield really stole the show, and I'm really happy about it.
One thing I'll add to this is that I think, because it depends on what the story is. Is it Battlefield and Call of Duty, or is it like the decline of Call of Duty? Because if it's the decline of Call of Duty, then I think Battlefield is a bolt through the plate armor of Call of Duty. Like, there's no doubt about that. But I actually think it's more complicated than that. Like, I actually just think that a lot of things are, and we've said this before, but like just have combined to dethrone this game. And Battlefield is a major player, but I think there's a lot of chip damage happening from overexposure, under delivering, probably pretty tired and overworked studios that make a lot. Those guys make a lot of money. They get a lot of money in bonuses. I'm not saying that we should feel bad for them, but like after a while, you're probably ground into a fucking small round pebble from all of the erosion and pressure around you. And then there's just a shit ton of games on the market. So
yeah. And then also the fact that it's an immediate numbered sequel a year after the previous one, which is typically like it's atypical of that series that just makes people even feel even more tired than they otherwise would be. My Siri just activated. The fuck?
Interesting.
Shut up.
And I was saying it earlier, and I am being mostly flippant, but I do think that Microsoft is a relevant factor. Because I think this decline was going to happen, and based on when they were interested in buying Activision, when they did, a lot of this shit was already happening. You can't really, you can blame them probably for everything moving forward, but they incorporated a lot of these pipelines into what they were doing when they purchased the publisher, and so I don't want to blame them for it completely, but I will say this, that they are not the company to be in charge of Activision Blizzard at this moment, because this is a time when you need really strong leadership and vision. And if Xbox lacks one thing, it's a strong leadership and vision. So you could pull. Here's the thing. Call of Duty is so big and it's been going on for so long across, again, not console generations, but generations of people, that it's going to have this baked in almost Star Wars like resonance with people forever. And you're going to be able to conceivably get them in the future, but you have to do the work. And I really believe that Call of Duty's ultimate salvation will be through, and I hate to say this, like culling those teams down to a couple, maybe, or a few. You want to have 2 or 3 teams working on stuff and make a Call of Duty platform and make like this new Call of Duty game. Ultimately, they're going to be shoved into that position, into that fucking box, one way or the other. Because if they have another year like this, I don't know what that means. Like, I don't, again, it's hard to, you don't want to be dramatic, because it's like, these are huge games still that are going to be amongst the best selling games of the year, but they're not normal games. They're not made under normal circumstances. They're not made for normal amounts of money. They're not marketed for normal amounts of money, and the expectations on them are not normal. So that shit starts to fall apart and starts to go down a hill and starts to tumble. It's bad news. And they know this. They knew this because of the mobile product. They knew this because of like Warzone and this Call of Duty kind of nesting thing they're starting to do with like the franchise. Like, they get it. I don't think they know how to get out of it. What they really need is a massive hit. You know, like what and that's kind of the pressure situation they're under, which is fascinating. It's like, we could throw all in on the next one, or whatever one we think is going to be the big one, and really try to make this thing fly. And then the money and the revenue will buy us time to adjust. And I think they have to, that's going to be a brute force kind of thing. We'll see what happens. I also think Call of Duty is just not, it's not the quality that it was known for, that it was renowned for during like the Infinity. Remember when people used to make fun of Treyarch because they wouldn't get up to Infinity Ward standard? And it's like, times have changed. So we'll see. All right, Chris, that brings us to you. This is your final selection, your 5th selection. This is 14 overall.
Yeah, man. So I've been trying to avoid this on my list, but it's calling out to me. I got to do it, dude. This entire Mind's Eye fiasco.
Yeah, sure. That wasn't on my list, but that's a good one.
It's just Leslie Benzies going out and talking about how it's like, you know, it's the saboteurs. You know, people are paid to not like it. They're paid to shit on it. And then we got it, and lo and behold, it's a steaming pile of trash.
It really is.
I mean,
truly.
What do we and also this like plan to relaunch it somehow that I don't know. I'm of the mind you leave well enough alone.
Yeah, fat chance, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, that ain't happening. And to the degree that it will happen, it won't have any real effect. I just don't. People are not into Mind's Eye. People don't want to. It wasn't even like, because there are games that come out and people are like, that could be better. Not really this one. This seemed kind of, nobody cared. Didn't seem to catch anybody's attention. Didn't catch fire at all. So, well, it caught fire, but just this whole situation was, I've never seen in my memory, and I could be wrong, but like in my memory, I can't remember like an individual of such high esteem saying this kind of thing in the games industry and like kind of like almost offloading. Like the closest thing I can imagine, or the closest thing that I can bring myself to like compare it to, is like maybe like some of the unhinged shit that like Randy Pitchford has gone off and said. But at the very least, like they make games that people generally like play and buy and, you know, genuinely enjoy. I mean, Borderlands 4, I think a lot of people really, really liked it. I liked it too until it stopped running well. But
oh yeah, the memory leak, I forgot about that. That must be fixed at this point.
That's a bummer, dude, because I enjoyed that game, but I just couldn't do it. But yeah, like this whole like seeing Leslie Benzies, like a storied feller to say the least, go off on this weird kind of tangent that kind of felt more becoming of like a, I don't know. It felt like a YouTube, like it almost felt like a Keemstar kind of, like a Boogie 2988 kind of thing, where it's just like they're sabotaging me. Like
right.
It feels crazy. It feels insane, and it feels like it was completely unnecessary. Like, why say anything? In some sense. So yeah, I don't know, that the whole Mind's Eye fiasco. I guess I just have it as Mind's Eye fiasco on my list, but that was something to watch for sure. And it's unusual that we get a game quite like that. I don't want to say unusual, but they're rare. I find like it's rare to get a truly sub 5 out of 10 video game. You know, like I think a lot of I think we're spoiled generally in this generation, or like even in just the last arguably the last decade, where the worst games that we got were just kind of serviceable, like, you know, 6s, maybe 7s. You know, the worst games. Or like I think about some of the games I used to play on PS1 or PS2, and I'm like, oh man,
yeah,
that was some garbage,
truly.
But
because you had to
so
commit
Mind's
at that time,
Eye,
you had to commit to like getting your game printed and like getting it out. It was over at some point. And you had
right. It's like there was nothing to do. Some games came out and they were broken and they just couldn't fix it because they're just like, all right, it's out there. Sorry, last level is not in the game. So yeah, I just think it's interesting to see something like a. Oh my God, what's that motorcycle game from like years ago? I think about it all the time. Ride to Hell Retribution.
Right,
yeah. You know, it's rare to get something like that. And it's even rarer to get something like that from somebody like Leslie Benzies. So like, I think that whole thing is just fascinating. And I'm curious where Build a Rocket Boy goes, but that's my final, or my number 5.
Going into the grave is, I think, where it's going to be ultimately. Sucks for them because they're probably some really talented people there.
Yeah.
All right. Dustin, do you have anything you want to say about Mind's Eye? You didn't play it.
I didn't play it.
No balls.
I did watch you and Gene play it, and it was shocking.
I platinumed that bad boy.
I thought about playing it, and then I watched your guys' stream or your video, and I was like, I don't think I'm gonna.
Yeah, bad. It's no bueno.
I don't think I'm gonna go.
Yeah, it is. It's one of those games I wanted to see for myself. I was like, when it was first shown at that State of Play, I was like, this looks cool. And I believed that. I was like, this looks great.
Yeah.
And it, over time, you realize it wasn't great. And then it came out and everyone hated it. And I'm like, well, once I think I read Gene's review or whatever it was, I was like, I gotta play this game. Because it's like you said, they don't really, in the AAA-ish space, they don't really go like this anymore. It's just, there's too much money and your game might not sell. It might not be very remarkable or great, but it's not. I always think about Remember Me as one of those games where it's like, yeah, this is fine. You know, like this is fine.
Or like Wet, or like,
sure.
You know, John Woo's Stranglehold, or like, these are like, or I think, you know what I think? Actually, Concord's a great example. Concord played pretty fucking competently. Like, Concord probably, from a gameplay perspective, probably plays better than like the overwhelming majority of like PS2 shit, you know, that we loved. But nobody gave a shit. And so like a game like this is rare, man. Mind's Eye, for that reason alone, like a physical copy of Mind's Eye, like, ooh, cream of the crop right there.
It's a strange, getting the 1.0 version is, that's a prize.
Oh my God.
So yeah, I platinumed it for some reason. And so I did see the game intimately. It is as bad as they say. There's a potential. There's cool shit. I mean, every game has cool shit in it. It's almost like, yeah, all right. There's a cool idea here. The setting's neat. Right. I don't know why. Like, what is the excuse for this being so bad? Why is this so bad? And there's a lot of questions to be asked about that. If I was an investor in that studio, I'd be asking a lot of questions. I'd also probably be broke. All right. The last one for me, I have 8 of them left. I'll go with this one. We already brought this game up, but I do think it's very relevant to PlayStation. It's just Marathon. The reveal of Marathon and kind of the ups and downs and ups of Marathon. This is something you guys can both speak to a lot more authoritatively than I can from a gameplay perspective, but I will say this. They really need this one. Not from a Sony PlayStation survival perspective, but from a Bungie perspective. They have to dig themselves out of this hole. And I think you said it earlier, both of you were kind of speaking to it, I believe, is things seem a little more positive about Marathon now. After things have settled, the art shit kind of, they settled that, obviously, we talked about that, but also like it's kind of just waned in everyone's memory, and kind of see the game more for what it is, and people are going hands-on with it in these closed tests. And now we know it's coming out in March. I am a little weirded out by the no date.
Yeah, it's weird.
I just think that it's like, what? Why? What are you doing? And it says that they don't know, which to me is just like, I'm like, okay, we'll see how it all. I don't know what you're going to do with 2 weeks, but you can do a lot, I guess, with it, and it's up to you. But the no date thing does have me skeptical, but it does seem like people are a lot more positive about it. And maybe we've said this before, is greasing the skids with Arc Raiders. Maybe this game has a chance to do well. And I honestly think, and maybe it's a little dramatic because you don't know where Destiny 3 is and what other, they did spin off Gummy Bears. Them spinning that Gummy Bears game off to me says that they want to protect it and inoculate it from what might happen with Bungie. And I will say that if this game bombs, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I honestly don't know if you just say like, fuck it, it's over and move on. Or if you like really cull the team down to a 300 person team that supports Destiny 2 and makes Destiny 3 quietly, as opposed to this 1,900 person team that you have now, whatever it is.
Are they still that big, or
it might even be down to like 700 or 800 now, but I think it's, I don't know if it's any lower than that. Let me see if we can find numbers, but I think that this is, it's not a secret. This is not, this is 850 as of last year. So who knows where it is now.
Right.
This has major implications. So, and again, I think so the sunk cost of Bungie, it sucks. Sony absorbed that cost. We've seen it. They're starting to write it down. So the damage is done. Now it's about like what you can get out of it. Can you scrape some of that money back, and can you make this team viable and relevant and important to make a Destiny 3 or whatever you're going to have them do next? And everything rides on it. We'll know. And I think we'll know within 4 months. Like, I don't think Marathon's going to come out, do okay, and then find itself later. It's got to pull people in. Do you guys have anything you want to add about that?
I'll go last because I think I have a lot to say.
I don't have a lot to say other than, the art fiasco was just crazy. And it was funny too, just because I think that for a lot of people, it was surprising, but for Bungie fans, and maybe Chris can speak to this a lot more, a lot of them were like, oh yeah, I'm not surprised a Bungie game is dealing with some chicanery in terms of potentially stealing something. Because I think something like that happened with Destiny art at one point or another. So
yeah.
After this recent video they put out, I'm much more interested in it. And what we talked about earlier, I think a lot of people are much more open to it. I'm wondering too if that's just a big part of like the reception to this news and that video, is that people get extraction shooters and they're like, oh cool, it's like Arc Raiders but different. I'm interested. So Chris, I'll let you take it away because I know you're the guy for this.
No, yeah. Well, I think it's unequivocal. I think when Marathon first showcased itself, the only people who really knew what was going on with that were people who had been playing Tarkov or whatever. And there's really not many of them. And the people who are playing Tarkov are not going to leave Tarkov, really. Like they're in an abusive relationship. They got like 5,000 hours in this game that they hate. Not unlike Destiny, really. Like, so So I think it is kind of like, yeah, people just didn't know. Like I saw it and I kind of didn't really get it either until I really got hands on with it. And like Dustin was talking about too, with his experience with Arc Raiders, like I don't know if I really liked it in the first couple hours. I was trying to figure it out. I didn't really understand it. And then things start clicking and then you kind of start getting into it and you kind of understand where to go and what is important and it becomes very satisfying over time. And I think, you know, that kind of understanding of like what the genre is does a lot for it. And I think I even earnestly think if this exact video came out, the Vidoc that they just put out, the 22-minute Vidoc that they just put out in December for Marathon, I think if that came out first, a lot of people were being like, oh, well, if this is what they showed then, they wouldn't have had a problem. It's like, I actually don't know. I'm not so sure because I don't think enough people really got it. I don't know enough people really understood. Like they would look at it as like, what's so special? This is a first person shooter. You're running around, you're collecting things. Who cares? But now people are like in that loop. They know why that's kind of fun and why it clicks and why it's interesting. And the side effect also is that, you know, I really do think in some ways this is the best case scenario where they get this art scandal, they get delayed, you know, Arc Raiders comes out, primes everybody for it. They have time to respond to the feedback. They have time to add in prox chat. They have time to, you know, focus on the environments and the weather and make the world feel more threatening, which was like the main feedback from the alphas. They have the time to address even just that cool, and we'll talk about it more. We've already talked about it on the Sacred Symbols episode that we'll be doing. Or will we? Are we going to be doing this Thursday, right?
Yeah. That'll be the last time we record this year. Yep.
Okay, just making sure. Yeah. So we'll have talked about it in depth, but
yeah, last episode. It will be
some genuinely interesting twists on the genre are showcased in this video, and I'm just like, that's an interesting idea that can't really happen in Arc Raiders or can't really happen in Tarkov by the nature of like what the sci-fi and like it's really cool shit. So I don't know, man. I think Marathon's going to be a great game. I know that because I've played it extensively or I played 40 hours of it, which is almost as much as I've played Arc Raiders at this point, months and months back. And even in its neutered state, I really got into it. And so with a lot more there, I do think it's going to be good. Whether or not it'll hit, I don't know, but it looks like things are kind of trending upward. I think if they put the real marketing weight behind it, I think they could have something really special here, but you know, that depends on whether or not there's an appetite or whether or not there's time or whether or not Arc Raiders has like another boom and, you know, then they'll be going head to head or like, we'll see. But I'm kind of bullish about Marathon. I think it's going to be really good. I think it's going to be great, but
we'll see. We're going to know very soon. Very soon.
We'll know very soon.
And I hope it is great. I really do. They need a redemption arc and that could be it. The route to redemption is going to be very difficult in a very crowded field though.
Yeah, that's true.
Do you guys have any other ones like honorable mentions? Anything that didn't come up? I just thought I'd show this because I thought it was funny. You probably won't be able to read it, obviously, but you can see the check marks. These are all the ones that came up and then I selected, which means like the ones on the bottom. In other words, we organically got through my top 15,
right?
Which I think is fairly interesting, which I appreciate. So congratulations. Anything we didn't do?
I have 4 extra I can lightning round, which I'm glad because I feel like they're not as good for the list, but Silk Song finally comes out. The PS5 Pro has a rough first full year with multiple games being not so great on the platform. The fate of Fair Games is unknown after Jade Raymond is removed from the studio. That actually was probably a pretty big one. Mm-hmm. And then last was the PS5 price increase earlier this year.
Yeah, that's good. The Fair Games I didn't even put in mind because I thought about that too because the director of the game is also removed. And we also reported on someone's experience playing the game in a closed beta or a closed alpha. So yeah, we had a lot of Fair Games reporting. The reason that I didn't put it on my list ultimately, though, maybe I should have just as an honorable mention, but the reality is no one seems to give a shit. So like there's nothing riding on it. You know, like right. If anything, like if that game's anywhere near good, I think that's a major win, even if it dies on the vine. It's like at least it was good, but it might not matter. Chris, any honorable mentions you want to get out of the way before we go?
I I think we got through the overwhelming majority of mine. I did have Jade Raymond's the Fair Games situation on mine. I had Marathon in mine, and you got to it. This one, like, I guess the only ones I have left are like really awkward or like really weird or that don't have to do with play. I had the Steam Machine announcement on there just because I just thought it's kind of a big deal. It's not PlayStation oriented, so I left it. But that's kind of a weird thing to come out of nowhere, just like Steam coming out and making this thing. Curious what the price is going to be on that, and the weird Banjo-Kazooie sequel that's like just in Dreams.
On Dreams, yeah, that is an interesting one.
Very odd. And especially it's made by like somebody like an ex-Rare person or a current Rare person, I believe.
It's from someone from Moon Studios.
Oh, Moon. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I knew it was like somebody who was like working. But yeah, that was pretty much it. Like everything else we pretty much got to.
Looking at the 15, I had all of them but 3 in my own list. So the Switch 2 multiplat stuff I didn't have in my list. Expedition 33 I didn't have in my list, and Mind's Eye. So that leaves me with 8 that I didn't use. So, and some of them a couple of them we had already mentioned, but Bend and Bluepoint canceling their multiplayer games was one of them.
Right.
And what that means for those studios moving forward. Dustin, I think you said this one, Hollow Knight, kind of emerging and coming out. That was on your list, right?
That was an honorable mention.
Yeah, honorable mention. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Ted Price's retirement, I thought was interesting, from Insomniac. That's a big one. And actually, Brian Fleming, was just announced today. We'll talk about this on the last episode, but he's one of the founders of Sucker Punch, and he's leaving. The Portal turning into a cloud streaming device, I think, is cool. Like the operability of the quiet operability and the ability to make the Portal into more than we thought it was is a pretty neat story. NCSoft Horizon, just a full-fledged licensing operation, which I think is interesting. And you could even talk about the Freedom Wars, Patapon, Everybody's Golf Run, but we knew about 2 of those games last year, so it's not really news this year, even though they came out this year. The fan revival of Concord and how Sony quickly shut that down, and why. And again, I wonder, to what end? Is it like we can't be fucking with this anymore? It brings us into some sort of tax, issue because we wrote the whole game down, and or is it just you don't want people messing around with your IP? I don't know, but that's pretty big. The firing of that woman from Sucker Punch, I thought was an interesting story that became a pretty big furor, but certainly not part of our list. And then finally, the shadow drop of Oblivion, and Bethesda's saying that they want to do more of that. I think shadow dropping's great. I think shadow dropping's, especially if you're a big studio these days, I think that's the way. You just carve out, just boom, just appear.
That was another game, by the way, where the memory leak just killed it for me. It is it's a real bummer that 2 games this year I was like really into, and I can't finish them because I can't do 15 frames a second every 10 seconds. It's insane.
Yeah, that sucks.
Unreal.
Literally.
Yeah.
All right, let's get out of here, my boys. Thank you for doing this interstitial episode with me. It's appreciated. Let's go around the horn and say goodbye. Chris, goodbye to you. Be well. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Yeah, goodbye to you, man. It's 2:30. I'm probably gonna go get some food, dude. I'm trying everything I can to avoid this sandwich shop that just opened up.
Is it
right next
what is
to me?
Is it?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to be too specific about it.
Okay, well, you could bleep it. Bleep that. Doesn't it?
Yeah. Because it's like it would kind of give away a lot.
Yeah, sure.
It's I don't know, man. It's tempting me every day.
Oh, you might want to.
It's tempting me every day, and it's a problem. I'm gonna try and make something today, but I will probably get a sandwich. So it's over. I lost.
I'm sorry. Godspeed to you.
It's okay. I'm gonna be obese by the end of the year.
That's tough.
So first episode of the first new episode of the year for Sacred that we come back. I'm aiming for about 40 more pounds.
Hell yeah.
Loompa, loompa. We're gonna sing a little song about you when you come back. Roll you around.
Yeah. Play a tuba
like Violet Beauregard. Dustin, goodbye to you, my friend. Be well.
Goodbye. What's on my docket tonight? I think I'm going to chill out, actually, because as I was mentioning at the top of the show, I'm a little ahead. So I'm going to chill out. Holly's not home yet. I don't know what I'm going to eat. I don't know if we're going to go out or eat something stupid at home. But
Order in.
That's tempting. I don't know what to get though. Pizza?
Yeah, you can.
It's almost time. My mom and I have a tradition. By the time you guys hear this, I've already happened. But every year, once a year, we get a Pizza Hut pan pizza, and it's kind of shitty, but we do it once a year, and it's just a tradition around Christmas that my mom and I do that.
Interesting.
So
we have a tradition here where we do the 7 fishes thing at my mom's Christmas Eve, the Italian kind of tradition, and I don't eat that shit, so we go to McDonald's and I get a huge helping of McDonald's on the way home on Christmas
Hell
Eve.
yeah.
Merry Christmas. All right, my friends. We'll see you next time. Thank you all out there for your love, kindness, and support. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. Happy New Year. Patreon.com/laststandmedia for early ad-free access and such. Laststandmedia.store for merch. We'll see you next time. Until then, goodbye.
See ya.
Take care, guys.
Sacred Symbols, a PlayStation podcast, is a product and trademark of Last Stand Media and Collins Last Stand LLC, and is proudly recorded in the USA. The show is conceived by, is written by, and is directed by me, Colin Moriarty. My co-hosts are Chris Raygun Maldonado and Dustin Furman. The show is produced by executive producer Dustin Furman. All of Last Stand's theme music is by my best friend, Ramon Narvaez. As you know, all of Last Stand's shows, including Sacred Symbols, are fan-funded on Patreon at patreon.com/laststandmedia. The following names are at the producer level on Patreon, our highest tier, and we're grateful for your thoughtful and kind contributions to our independent endeavor. Thank you.